It's your job.
We're live. Sorry, I don't know if you heard me.
No worries. Hey, world, how you doing? Um, Welcome to Which One Do I Roll? A game, a channel. Wow, a channel where we play a lot of different RPGs and check out different systems and sort of try to understand and develop our understanding of the systems and figure out what we like and what we don't like and understand everything better. This is our usual crew. We've got no guests today, and that is totally good. With me, as always, is Nia. Say hi, Nia.
Hello.
This is Ash.
Hi.
And Marcus. Marcus is going to be running the game today. Today we are going to be playing Beneath a Cursed Moon. If you haven't checked it out, it's by an awesome game designer named Carius. And you can find their stuff on their itch.io account. So go check out some of their stuff. It seems pretty dang cool. We're excited for some dark fantasy, Bloodborne-y, Victorian era-y-ish, whatever fantasy goodness. And with that, I'm going to shut up and let Marcus take over since Marcus is running this game.
Hey, yeah. So given that we're only doing a one shot and we don't have time for a session 0, I'm gonna open up with some vignettes into your lives, into formative events in your lives. And I think if you're comfortable, Matthew, I'd like to start with you and Lady Anne.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So Lady Anne is a warlock, yes.
Yes.
You told us a little bit about her backstory. Do you want to introduce her like in that?
Sure.
In those
Yeah.
terms? Yeah.
So Lady Anne Millicent Bulstrode is a older woman in her late 60s, 67, 68, we'll say, and very proper and always very well dressed in somber clothing, and always wears a scarf around her neck. When she was young, quite young, she and her family were indoctrinated into a cult, and a group of hunters disrupted the cult on the eve of their ritual that was actually going to be self-sacrificing for power, for blah blah blah, that whole thing. And I was the sole survivor. Lady Anne was the sole survivor of that event, and left, and basically was left alone because she was a child, and the hunters sort of were like, "Oh, she was just indoctrinated." But as a result, because everyone else was sacrificed, I ended up with sort of eldritch powers, and for a long time I used them to my own benefit, but realized sort of accumulating wealth and power and significance. But sort of later in life, realized that this may not be morally the best thing to do, and as a result, have decided to attempt to atone for my own greed.
Cool. So would you be comfortable kind of looking in on like your vignette being a zoom in on that night, on the night of
Sure.
the night that you're cult? I guess is that an okay word for it?
I yes.
Okay.
Yes, I will presume that's an okay. Yes, I think it was a cult.
And I kind of don't want to open up on like a straight up massacre, so we'll go right after that. Um, where did this take place?
Good question.
It can be broad, it can be narrow,
yeah.
like building. Yeah.
I think part of the desire was to defile a holy place. So I think it was a church that was, I don't really have a strong feeling, but like dedicated to some sort of goodness. And yeah, it was inside the church itself that this conflict happened. Yeah.
Okay, so in this sanctified building dedicated to, I guess we'll say, holy forces, you have just witnessed the demise of your family, I would presume, because your family, I think, would still be part of it, right? And the rest of your community, your cult. And they managed, despite being massacred, they managed to connect with forces beyond, specifically demonic forces. And now we're seeing Lady Anne make contact with those forces. Is it one person? Is it one entity?
Yeah, I think so. I think I have a specific relationship with a specific demonic force. I don't really have a huge idea for them, but yeah, I think it's one person.
Okay. And how old is Lady Anne at this point?
I think she's relatively young. I think she's like 15, 16 at this point in her child. So this would have been 50 years ago, roughly.
Okay. And what before they were massacred, what did the proceedings of this ritual look like? Like, is there a book? Is there a pool of viscera that everyone's chanting around, or
Mhm.
something along those lines?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that there's definitely a black book that is has all sorts of arcane sigils and markings inside of it. I think that viscera probably no, but blood, yes. There have been sacrifices of small animals and other creatures, and maybe even some unwilling victims that were utilized to draw arcane sigils upon the floor.
Hmm.
And so there's just like this dark red blood stain on the floor that I think has become smeared in the ensuing conflict. Yeah.
Tremendous. Okay. What is Lady Anne's state of mind at this moment? Having just
Uh, yeah, I think she's searching for a way to survive, right? I think that she is changing her clothing and like her hair and her look to try and appear younger, so that it looks like she's more like swept up in this than she probably even was. She probably was. She was a willing participant in this, and like yeah, maybe manipulated by older people because she's 15, 16 or whatever. But she
yeah.
was a willing participant, and now that like they're all dead, she's like, well, what's the best way for me to get out of this? And is trying to make herself younger, more childlike. And I think she looks up and sees one of the hunters, and like tries to like shrink down before him and like pull the sad puppy dog eyes or whatever, as best she can to manipulate him into letting her live.
Okay. So this hunter is maybe rifling through the remains, the belongings of your cult, one of your cult members,
Mhm.
and looks up and sees you, uh, and they will say, "Oh, you're just a child, aren't you? How long have you been in
Yes.
this organization?"
Well, my my parents were in it. I was always really uncomfortable with everything, but I just sort of well, I went along because that's what you do what your parents want, right? Do you do what your parents want?
I always had before. That's wise, but your parents were not good people.
Well, they're dead now.
Lady on is sorry, go ahead.
You killed them.
Had to be done. I apologize for that. Do you have anywhere to go?
I don't know.
This
No.
hunter looks around kind of nervously, and you both hear a shout from outdoors calling a name, and he looks outside, so presumably it's his name. I can't help you. I'm sorry. You need to find somewhere to go, and you need to get as far away as you can from these forces. As soon as he says forces, you feel the book that you all had been focusing on during this ritual is on a pedestal at the
Mm.
back of the church toward the pulpit, I guess. Yeah. Um, you feel a tug on your soul, like a gravitational like pull from this book. You can react to it if you'd like, but that's what you feel. Um, the hunter turns heel and starts to leave after telling you that you need to find a place to go.
As soon as he turns heel, I am making my way quickly to the book and grabbing it and sticking it under my clothing. Uh, and then sort of I look around for some dirt or grime to rub on my face a little bit to make it look like I've survived a more harrowing experience, and then begin to walk out of the church figuring he's right. I do need a home,
Okay.
and thinking on the book and wondering what this all means.
Yeah. So as you make your way across the church to grab the book, it's tacky with dried blood, dried viscera. You make your way past the remains of your community, and as you touch the book, you get like the Jumanji thing going. Like you hear war drums. You feel um, the pace of your heartbeat matching those drums, and you feel a presence. And then you make your way out. And I think we'll close there. We'll move on to another vignette.
Yeah, she's definitely happy about healing us. I just want to like she
Yeah,
definitely smiles.
yeah. And that was an act right there. Like I my parents, blah blah blah.
Oh yeah, screw
Yeah.
them. Who cares?
Excellent.
Yeah, she was like full time and manipulating the whole time. She no, at that point in her life, she did not care.
Already pretty conniving. That's awesome. Ash, Nia, do you either of you want to go first or next, rather?
I DM'd you my stuff.
Cool. Yeah. So yeah, you also told me a bit about your character. Do you want to like describe them like rudiment wise, like the very basics about them?
No, I'm saying in the Zoom chat.
Oh, I can't. I can't. Hold on.
I thought I'll just shoot it over Discord real quick.
Thank you. Yeah, because I can't really.
You have not chat in like every channel I went to. So I prefer Nia go first just for this one.
Oh, okay. I see. Thank you.
Apologies.
No, it's all good. Yeah. So we'll go to Moss. Nia, do you mind describing Moss in very basic terms?
Yeah. So Moss is a slightly above average height, lean, has chin length, seaweed colored hair that kind of fades into a lighter color, pale green eyes, or I should say eye. Her left eye is entirely sclera. Usually donning a long, sleek gray trench coat, black turtleneck, lots of black.
Nice. And Moss is a dreamer, arcane sorcerer, right?
Yeah, astral sorcerer. Yeah.
Astral sorcerer, yeah. Thank you. How did she come into? Is she her pronouns?
It's she, them.
She them. Okay. Matt, Lady Anne pronouns.
She, her.
She her. Okay, awesome. How did Moss come into contact with these extra stellar or whatever entities?
Yeah, so when they were like probably about 7, was out watching a very spectacular meteor shower, and as it so happens, they made contact with an eldritch force from beyond the stars, and ever since then was imparted with these gifts, the ability to use astral sorcery, the ability to enter the dream world, the ability to use that commune ability. Um, and from that day on, they had access to knowledge beyond her years, really. And this attracted a lot of unwanted attention. So from then on, she made it a point to be as average as possible and not stand out.
Cool. So would you be comfortable looking in on that night that you made contact?
Yeah.
And is this force? Is it like an individual? Is it something that you can talk to, or is it like a presence or something along those lines?
So, from what the playbook says, it says that they're called the Sleepers. They're from beyond the stars. They can whisper in her dreams, invade her thoughts, bring unwanted insights. These unbidden secrets can be mastered, and astral sorceries flow through the recipients like waves through the ocean. So, I imagine that they don't really have full on conversations. It's more like an occasional, like, hey, go do this, or little things like that.
Okay, yeah. So we'll open up on that night. The night of the meteor shower. Is Moss just out there to stargaze, or is there a reason that they're out there?
Yeah, they're just out there to watch the stars on this night, knowing that today there was going to be a meteor shower.
Okay, so I'll say the night was relatively calm, aside from stellar events, and then as the meteor shower starts, the light show that they put on in the sky uh, affects your mind in the way that flashing lights might affect someone to have a seizure, but instead you have visions of times and places that you don't recognize. You see flashes of ritual spaces of yeah, ritual spaces, pedestals, bowls that are clearly fuming with some compound of like both magical and chemical arrangement. You see more pedestals. Actually, you see an arrangement of death masks of people who have passed away and have been had their faces cast in clay or something. I forget what death masks are made of.
Mhm.
You see your future. You see bits of your past, maybe, but not many, because most of it is foreign. Um, after receiving these visions, does Moss do anything in particular?
I imagine in that moment she would be doubled over in pain, her head pounding.
Hmm.
Uh, I don't. I think she would just lay down right there and try and go to sleep.
Okay. So yeah, it's fair to say you fall asleep in that field. Um, and then if you're all right with it, we'll cut away there.
Hmm.
Okay. And Ash, do you want to describe M in rudimentary terms?
Yeah, so M is, I just lost the page. I had 12 pages open at once. M is a 24-year-old werewolf. She, I was using she, her. I'm used to my own pronouns. It's weird. Get a couple scars on her faces, a bit longer, kind of mangy hair, but it's cut about the shoulder. Forgot everything else I was gonna say. Not gonna lie. Yeah.
What kind of person is she? Like socially?
She's kind of a quiet, reserved, but very loyal person, as you would expect from a werewolf. She definitely likes to protect her friends when she has friends to protect, but for the last couple of years, she's been kind of a lone wolf. Up until recently, when she came into contact with a couple of, some really tolerable people, as she would put it. And she has been on a quest for a little while.
So she's a lycanthrope.
Yes.
I'll let you decide. Is lycanthropy hereditary or a
Yes.
constructed?
So
Okay.
for M, she was raised amongst her pack when she was younger.
Mhm.
Up until age about 20, she was with them. Due to certain events that happened that night, she left. And she was raised as a wolf up until age 16, which is when she finally wolfed out.
Mhm.
But, yeah.
And you told me due to the events of that night, you have
Yes.
developed a grudge against your pack leader. Remind me of their name?
Alcide.
Alcide.
I will say I originally wrote this character kind of expecting a little bit more modern, so the last name no longer quite works.
Mhm.
But it is Alcide Lafayette.
We can still do that if you're. Yeah, I don't mind.
It'll still work. It's just more French than most people would have. But so
that's
Alcide
fine.
Lafayette, he's at this point in his late 30s.
Okay. And you said you want to open up your vignette on you stalking Alcide or
Yes.
hunting Alcide, tracking.
Yes. Tracking him down to a dive bar or some sort of similar equivalent within the time period.
Some seedy place.
Yeah, somewhere seedy.
Okay. Um, is it fair to say that this is in a rural environment, that there's maybe plentiful like trees and woods?
I'd say it's like a pretty dense urban area. Is what I would believe.
Okay.
It's definitely out of Alcide's typical go around.
So you're stalking city streets and alleyways and stuff.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll open up on that. What form are you in currently?
M is currently in human form. However, she has just turned back after climbing a roof through the hybrid form.
Cool.
She's currently on top of a roof, watching Alcide from about a block or two away.
So I think this might be a good place for our first roll. Do you want to do? I know you have hunt, but I think you also have poke around. Poke around and hunt might be the same thing.
Poke around and hunt is the same thing.
Okay. Yeah. You wanna roll that?
Okay. We gotta remember how to roll things. 2d6, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
That is a 9, which with a +2 we'll put at 11.
Cool. So that's a normal success, I think. Like 13 plus
that
is
is
like
a success.
excessive. Yeah. Yeah. Perfect. So you catch Alcide's scent. It's one that's familiar to you, and it inspires. I won't decide for you. It inspires whatever feelings it does. But those
Aggression for sure.
okay.
Definitely a little bit of little wolf coming out.
So maybe that works for you. I was gonna say it doesn't get in the way of your pursuit, but maybe that helps. And you catch his scent, and you source it to the seediest tavern in town, one that people avoid actively.
Okay.
Um, yeah, and you are free to follow it.
Okay. So how far away would you say it is?
Not very. I think your senses are sharp enough that it could be very far away. But he's relatively close, and the scent is
Okay.
pretty strong.
I will quietly make my way towards a rooftop pretty close to the scent.
Okay. I'll say you're next door practically. If you hopped another roof, you'd be above him. But there's no roof access or anything of that sort.
Is there an open window on the second story or third story, however tall these buildings are?
Absolutely, yeah. It's got an inn that nobody stays in, so it's not very populated at the moment.
Okay. And we'll head to a window that is dark and it has nobody inside.
Yeah. Most of them are. The one that is unlocked it definitely is. So you're free to enter.
And we'll enter.
Cool. The scent is stronger now, obviously, and you smell him downstairs. You could assume he's having a drink.
Can I'm smart enough to know that Alcide will catch her scent very quickly.
Hmm.
Is there a back entrance to this place?
Yeah, there's an alley entrance.
Okay, and we'll intentionally move over there and kind of like break a bit of the door open and intentionally let her smell in.
So yeah, even though Alcide is currently in human form, he does catch that scent, and he, um, oh, actually, this might warrant a little bit more explanation into your backstory.
Okay.
How does Alcide feel about you at this point? Because yeah.
Because I think Alcide, given what occurred on that night, he sees M as a traitor, um, as someone who can't be trusted, as someone who he will kill if he gets the chance. Because M left the pack, abandoned
Okay.
the pack.
I think, yeah, from other stuff you've told me, I think we can also say that Alcide is probably not a person with excellent judgment. So he wolfs out. He turns fully into the bipedal form that you all have,
Okay.
and charges toward the door. Toward you.
Can I hear that coming in? Coming
Oh
along?
yeah, easily, yeah.
M will. I'll go to beast form actually.
Okay. Are you looking to intercept him, dodge him?
I'm gonna go to a wolf and start running away because I remember how big Alcide is, and if he's getting that fast, he's probably tweaked out on something.
Yeah, that's fair to say. He was drinking, but there's no saying, no telling what else he's on currently.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you go full wolf form.
Yes,
you,
I go full wolf, so not the hybrid.
So quadrupedal.
Yes, quadrupedal.
Yeah. So you start heading down the alleyway. And just as you're leaving, he explodes through the door. It's blown into splinters. And this is.
Can I duck into an alleyway before he notices me?
Yeah, sure. So
Would that be a daring action?
Daring action is to move under. It's like moving over difficult terrain.
Okay.
I don't know that there's like a stealth thing. I didn't see one looking through the moves.
Neither did I, but it just seems like, given how tense it is, that might warrant one.
Yeah. You want to just do flat 2d6?
Yeah.
Perfect.
6.
Okay. Okay. So that's a failure. Yeah, he bursts out of the tavern fast enough.
Actually, in beast form,
yeah.
I get a +1, and I already have a +1 to daring action. So
Nice. Okay. Sure. We'll say
that'd be an 8.
So that's a mixed success. Yeah.
Okay.
How does that look? So he bursts out of the tavern. He comes out of it hard enough that he hits the opposite wall, and is dazed for a little bit.
Okay.
But he does see you just as you're turning the corner. So he's collecting himself and preparing to run around the same corner.
Okay. Are there any boxes or barrels or anything nearby?
Sure. I think there's a few empty ones, maybe ones that used to store whatever supplies neighboring stores had.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thinking about the surrounding area, is that like a river or somewhere nearby?
The river and the forest, like all the natural parts of this place, are probably farther away if this place is urban.
I'm gonna start running as fast as I can towards the river.
Okay. So we'll say it's like a mile or two, not exceedingly far, but not close either.
Enough that he'll probably catch up by
He
the time
might.
I get there.
So I think that's what we see. We see him jumping over whatever obstacles you've put in his way, and catching up pretty like reliably, maybe because he's larger, he's older, he's more experienced, despite not having the best judgment.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll close off there with your vignette.
All right.
And then we'll move to the present, or what is the present day for you all. I told you a bit before we started that you've all come under the employ of an institute, an intramural institute that is charged or has taken charge in protecting a kingdom. I was going to do like a fantasy equivalent of Wallachia, but it's Wallachia. It's what is present day Romania. It is a kingdom in the traditional sense. There is a castle at the center of like geographically at the center of it, with houses that are on the nicer side surrounding it. A large wall that probably approaches like 20 or 30 feet high, stone that surrounds those houses, and then on the exterior of those walls there are simple villages, huts, built out of huts maybe isn't appropriate, but like adobe and like very simply constructed edifices. And you all are a part of this institute that protects this place from rogue agents. So you all, Ash, you're a werewolf. Lady Anne is a warlock. Moss is a astral sorcerer. But you all aren't the only people that you all aren't the only ones of your kind. Does that make sense? And
They're evil versions of us, or eviler versions of us.
essentially eviler, yeah, that's a good word for you. For your character. Yes, essentially. So there's people that are like you that aren't as sociable or kind as you. People that are outright evil, and don't question it at all. There are abominations that sometimes show up in this place, but they are not rare. Might not be the best description because it happens enough that it warrants your existence as an institution. But it happens enough that or sorry, it doesn't happen so much that you're overrun. You all are managing as a group.
How many? Just out of curiosity, how big is this organization?
It's rather large at
40
this point. Yeah.
And or is it 20 or 10? Is it 3?
So you all comprise one group. You 3 and 2 handlers that you have. We'll describe them later. That group of 5 comprises one group, and I'll say there's maybe 20 groups. So there's upward of 100 people, not including other faculty that make the place run.
Definitely sizable.
Yeah, sizable is fair. You all, the group that you comprise is actually the newest. You all have come here for whatever reason, and found it beneficial to work together, or were assigned together. I don't really have a preference as to how. But you're kind of the Z team. You're the new kids on the block, and as such, you kind of get the shit work. You get the stuff that's not as exciting. You get like patrols where stuff doesn't happen all the time. And we will open up on what is your present day, on the outskirts of town, outside of the villages, even in the forest that surrounds the kingdom in Transylvania, essentially. We'll open up on you all patrolling through the forest with your handlers, 2 changelings named Greta and Garrett, and they are leading you through the forest at the end of your patrol, heading towards town. The day has been uneventful. You haven't encountered any aberrations or anything of the sort that you've had to fight. And you all are cordially, or Greta and Garrett at least, are cordially talking with each other and occasionally engaging you all.
What time of day is it, would you say?
Good question. It's twilight is just before sunset. Yeah, It's twilight.
What's the weather like?
God, what's the word? It's not. It's temperate. It's not raining or anything. It's relatively dry. Yeah.
Okay, so M isn't miserable. Definitely a little. Definitely looks like they could punch. She would punch you in the face if you said the wrong thing right now.
hmm
Like, definitely not happy to be just walking around in the woods. Seems a little on edge, at the very least.
So given that the vignettes were in the past, how much have each of your characters changed at this point? We'll start with Lady M, just because I think that's the biggest disparity.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I am in my late 60s now.
hmm
So it's been 50 years since my vignette. I was a child then, and now I am an older woman. I think, despite the fact that I am out of doors, I am wearing long, flowing dresses that are totally inappropriate to wandering through the
hmm
woods, and a scarf that is probably a little thicker than the weather warrants as well. Um, and my hair is done in a very tight bun right now, up behind me. But beyond that, there's a similar conniving air about her.
I was gonna ask. That's excellent. Um, yeah. So what about Moss? Has Moss changed very much since making contact with the astral forces?
Well, Moss was just a child then, and they're now in their early 20s, uh, closer to what the picture I have up here looks like. I think probably wearing uh, like loose, what's the word? Pants. I don't remember what kind of pants. They're baggy.
Trousers?
Yeah, sure. Trousers and black turtleneck. I imagine that. Oh, I don't think that. I think when they were younger, they had both eyes, but after making contact with the astral forces was
Ah,
when they lost their other eye.
okay. How about M?
It's been about 3 to 6 months since M's vignette. She's been hunting Alcide for about a little over a year now and found this organization, decided this would be beneficial to get her back up to full strength after she broke her leg from falling into the river and being attacked. Um, I think she's got a couple more scars, is a bit buffer, doesn't wear sleeves. Sleeves are bullshit to her, and she lives by that. She's got her hair is very short now, but probably mangier than before somehow. Definitely smells like she needs a shower. And the pants she's wearing are pretty much your generic like werewolf pants, like dark navy blue, very old, ripped up, torn in a lot of places, but baggy enough so that when she goes wolf form, they don't get destroyed.
Cool. So you're all colleagues. So you know each other in a workplace capacity, but are any of you have any of you developed a rapport?
I think M is still keeping herself at a distance just because of the experience she had with her last pack.
Sure. This is your new pack essentially, or it could be.
Working on it.
Hmm.
I definitely
Lady
think
Anne,
that
Moss?
Lady Anne sees a kindred spirit in Moss.
Two Arcanists.
Yeah, to some extent at least, and someone who got involved young too, right? We'll find out what that relationship is, I guess, as we play. But I definitely think that at least I see something in Moss.
Yeah, nice. So yeah, you're making your way out of the fabled Transylvania. Um, Greta and the changeling siblings, Greta and Garrett, are conversing among each other. I think maybe not paying the most attention to you, to you all. And as you're approaching the edge of the woods, you hear the kingdom, the town's what's it called, clock tower. You hear the bells chiming. At first, just one. I think you as would be commonplace, would expect a few more, denoting the time of day. But they continue. But it continues, and as it continues, the other bells in the other chapels around town also start chiming, which is irregular. Um, is there? There isn't anything equivalent to perception in this, is there?
Poke around and hunt would be
Absolutely
the only thing I could think of that
Yeah,
might
that's
be
fine.
equivalent.
So yeah, as
Effectively-
you
Sorry,
go ahead. No, go for it.
I was just gonna say, like it's if it's not something that's dangerous, the system says we'd probably do it.
Okay, yeah, so you do. Yeah, you hear the bells chiming, and then you hear the other ones join along. You all may know, you can decide whether you do or not, that this means that there is an emergency of some sort. Depending on how long you've been here, it may or may not be the first one, but this is the first time that all of you are hearing them all chime in this with this frequency and at this rate. And then
M doesn't think anything about it.
okay, um, under the sound of the bells, you hear the at first soft and then rising sounds of chaos, of screams, of fires burning as you approach the edge of the forest. And your handlers look at each other and then sprint off toward the edge of toward the outside of the forest.
Are we supposed to finish our patrol or?
M just looks at the others. I guess we're running now, and just starts booking it.
Okay. Yeah. And you
With a
don't
smile on
get
her
a
face.
response. I think your handlers expect you to kind of figure it
Yeah.
out. Yeah. Do you follow, Moss?
Yeah, God, I hate running, but I guess I have to.
You know,
Um,
we can make good time just by moving patiently behind them. We could,
Yeah, but
rather than one.
M's already gone, and I
After
kinda
about a
feel
minute,
bad.
M will turn around and see that they are not running, and just and sits and just looks at them very disapprovingly.
Coming, and I'll start jogging.
Just so undignified. And I hike up my skirts and petticoats and start jogging.
It's very funny. Okay. Your handlers are they're changelings, so they're kind of used to the woods as much as M might be. They get through the forest with ease, and they are already at the edge, on the outside edge of the forest. You all, I think, will have enough trouble getting through the dense brush and tree trunks that it would warrant making a daring action roll.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, daring action. So everyone go ahead and make a daring action roll.
Not good at that.
Oh, I actually have +3. Cool. So that will be an 11 on me.
And an 11 from Lady Anne.
7 for me.
Marcus, you're muted.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so M and M and Lady Anne, you make it through, no problem. You got it. Incredibly, because your clothes are so impractical, Anne. Moss, I think you make it through. You make it to the end, but on the way there, you thwack your head on a branch pretty hard. So, you will take 1 harm. If you have any armor, you can ignore it, because I think only.
I sure don't.
Okay.
No armor here.
Yeah, so that'll be 1 harm.
Are
But
you
you all.
Are you okay, Moss?
I really smacked my head. But, you know, it's fine. It's fine. It's whatever.
You should watch yourself. It's not. This is why I abhor running.
I agree.
So as you all are having this conversation and you catch up to your handlers, you hear the screaming and chaos in the kingdom within the walls, cut through by a louder sound, by a louder scream. It is blood curdling, and it is accompanied by the sound of a wagon that has gone out of control. It barrels toward you, and then veers because the driver has lost control, and you see. Attacking the driver and attacking the cart in general, the wagon in general, are little anatomically they look reptilian. They have parts that look simian and then parts that look avian as well. So they have feathers. They are small creatures, comparable to imps, and they have a look about them that is a texture to their flesh that is. That resembles marble, but it has the qualities of flesh that a biological creature would have. So you see veins and musculature and wrinkles and stuff beneath that marble looking skin. Um, these things are attacking the driver, and as such, he is not. They are not able to control the cart, and it crashes into a nearby building on the edge of town here, on the edge of the forest here. And from the wreckage, these little imps crawl over. They crawl over the wreckage and start heading towards you all, being that you are the closest thing to them.
I would like to do a thing right away.
Please, yeah.
I want to use my astral sorcery. So would I just roll for that?
Yeah, combat sorcery, I think you can just do, you choose like an effect, and then, okay. Yeah, so go ahead and roll astral sorcery.
So that's a 10.
Okay.
And what I would like to do is put to sleep any number of people who would be defeated by 5 harm total.
Any number, wow, okay.
Yeah.
So there's 7 of these imps, these little weird reptilian, avian, simian looking things, and as they're crawling over the, you see that as they crawl over the wreckage, they're rather fast, and like both birds and lizards, are very jittery and weird, and very objective in their goals. And they're coming towards you, yeah, like I said, quickly, but you, what does it look like, your astral sorcery? This sleep spell.
So, as I begin to kind of cast this spell, it looks like that there are these eyes that are surfacing from beneath my skin, and my face and body is covered in these very creepy eldritch eyes.
Okay, so I'll say each of these eyes kind of lock with one of the with the eyes of each one of these imps, and they all fall asleep. They drop in their tracks. And I think the way combat works is you each get to do one thing, and then we'll go back to the monsters. But does it say how long they're asleep?
It just says put to sleep any number of people who would be defeated by 5 harm total. That's all it says.
Okay. Does 2 rounds feel fair?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So they all drop in their tracks, and you're all free to do. M and Anne, you are free to do whatever you like.
M will, using the Beast Without ability, she's going to manifest her claws, which will give her 4 harm, and she's going to run up to deal harm to, I'll say, one of the imps. Are any of them still awake?
No, they're all asleep.
Cool. Then I'll just go start slashing.
Okay. Yeah, roll battle.
So that'll be a choose 2 for the battle combat move, because that is an 11. So I'll deal harm to 1, which should be 4 harm since my claws.
You annihilate it. It is split in twain by your claws.
Then I'll deal harm to another.
Does it say how much? Is it just 1?
As appropriate to your weapon. So deal harm to your opponent. So in this case, since my claws, it's 4 both times.
Okay, nice. Yeah, you do it again. This thing is destroyed. It is no more, and there are 5 sleepy imps left.
That is my turn, I do believe.
Lady.
Yeah. Do these things count as living creatures, or are they not?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, they're not constructs or anything.
Cool. Then I'm going to sacrifice one of them to empower my future sorceries that I might need to cast.
Okay. What does that look like?
Yeah, so I pull from my belt a dagger, which is curved and has a black jewel
swords.
handle. Yeah. And I think I just walk up to one of these creatures and I pull it up by its head from its sleeping form, and I slit its throat and incant a prayer to my infernal patron. Accept this sacrifice. And the blood pours out, and yeah, I empower myself for future sorceries.
Okay. Is it fair to say that the blood does not behave normally, that maybe you absorb it or something?
Oh, yeah, no, definitely. I think
Nice.
it first, like, it spills from the neck, where I slit, but it gets on my wrist and starts crawling up my arm, and I think it actually draws like arcane sigils upon my arm.
Oh, beautiful. I love that so much. Yeah, so you do this, and you feel the life force of this creature, of this entity, draining into you, and empowering your spells. You hear a chorus of demonic revelry in your head. You hear cheering, jeering, shouting, and then you hear the core voice um, of your patron, I guess, cheering you on, just going yes, yes, yes. Um, so is that one forward, or is that does that have a
No,
mechanical
it's a
benefit?
roll actually. I have to roll to see if my sacrifice is fully accepted.
Oh, okay. Do you do that now?
Let me double check this. Sorry, ritual
Mhm.
you successfully kill creature in combat. Blah blah blah. Cool. Awesome. Yeah. So I'm gonna roll. This is a living creature.
Mhm.
So it's a sacrifice roll of +2, and then I have sacrificial expert, so I get +3.
Nice.
So I get a 9, which grants me 2 holds moving forward. No, 1 hold moving forward.
And then you
for
have stuff you can
empowering
spend that on.
Sorry,
Okay.
say again.
And then you have stuff you can spend that on.
Yes, exactly.
Cool.
But it would be another turn. So
So that is 3 down out of the 7 that had crawled out of the carriage there. Um, they don't do anything. They're still asleep. So you're all free to move again in any order.
claw lady.
Em's just gonna go at him again.
Cool. Yeah, go for it. Roll battle.
An 11. So that's
Uh,
another 2.
Yeah. Oh, you're just dispatching 2
Yeah,
of them.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I get 2 more, and there's not really anything.
Yeah. This
will
is
do much.
This is cake
at the
too.
moment.
Yeah. Oh, so I should have said none of you have seen these creatures before. You've all seen like I said, aberrations and like rogue werewolves and vampires and things of that sort. You've seen demons, and especially obviously you've seen demons. But these are demonic in behavior, in but not in their look. In aesthetic, they're almost angelic. It's strange. But despite knowing nothing about these things, you make such short work of them, such that there are only 3 left now.
Also, if it helps,
Mhm.
my claws right now count as silver weapons too.
Oh, okay. Wow, really? So you'd be able
Mhm.
to mess up other werewolves pretty bad, huh?
Yeah,
Nice.
that's why I took Moonchild, because I can
Oh, okay.
really fuck up someone.
That's awesome.
I'm excited to see.
So as far as you can tell, it doesn't affect these creatures any more than
I'm just letting you know.
yeah,
just
cool.
okay.
Thank you.
That's my turn.
Yeah. Anyone else want to do something?
If you don't mind, I'd love to use. Maybe this is inappropriate, but I'd like to use I'd like to use lore to see if I can find out more about these creatures. Sort of a weird thing to do in combat, but I think that's kind of what I would do.
No, yeah, that's a combat move. Knowledge lore. Yeah, please go for it.
Awesome. I got a 13.
Oh, so on 13 plus you hold 6,
Yeah.
and then there's 5 things for you to choose from. So you can you got a lot
Ask
too.
whatever the heck I want, basically.
Pretty
until
much,
they
yeah.
roll. Cool. Cool. Okay. Cool. Let's do this thing. Okay. So with lore, what exactly? What type of creature is this?
So like I said, these are demonic in nature. Parts of them probably remind you of things that you've seen of what you think of as demons, but they seem to be like another. I don't know what the right word is. Genus maybe. Not family, because they're like biological. They're like creatures, living creatures. But they are another variety of demon.
Yeah, it's that variety of demon. Is that out of place with my understanding of how things should be?
Like, do they seem as if they shouldn't exist?
Yeah.
I'll say so. Your role in knowledge lore was good enough that you would be able to reason that they just you just haven't encountered them before. Not that they're
Okay.
aberrations and out of place, out of space and time. They are just wholly new to you. Yeah.
Okay. And is this infernal magic?
Um.
Or something? Sorry, what kind of magic was used here? I guess I can ask.
Yeah.
Better.
So you'd be able to tell that they were conjured. You'd be able to tell that they aren't technically infernal, but they are related to whatever precedes infernal magic, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Primal or something.
Yeah.
And what are these creatures weak to, if anything?
Oh, let me check actually. I need to check their stat blocks.
Me. They're weak to
Wait,
ammo,
Apparently, yeah, they're
Not that
weak
I'm that worried about like ripping them apart because
Mm.
Em's taken down 4. I've taken out 1. There's 2 left.
4 harm is a lot.
It's a lot, yeah.
Mhm.
And that's by default. Like, what the fuck? It's incredible. It's 1 less harm than the full beast form has, too, which is what's insane.
So I guess they don't have any weaknesses in the conventional sense, but they are weak to anything that can do more than 2 harm. I'll tell you that.
Okay, cool,
Yeah.
great.
So you have 2 more, I think.
Yeah. I'm gonna retain my hold for now and
Okay.
let this sit into looking at the scene later, maybe.
Yeah. Do you dispense any of this information to your comrades?
Yes.
Cool.
Fascinating. They seem to be primal of some sort, like a proto-demonic. Not very strong though. Keep at it.
You say as M's covered in their fucking blood. She just looks at you like, yeah, no shit, they're not strong.
You would be covered in their viscera, and you notice that they have it has a quality of like it's blood, but it is stark white and kind of chalky.
This blood is blood.
Yeah.
Right. So it's cornstarch.
moss.
Got it.
Pretty much, yeah. It's non Newtonian.
Almost glue.
Yeah. Yes, perfect. Moss, you have anything you want to do?
Well, I could try and keep them asleep. So, I mean, honestly though, you really got it. So I'm actually gonna, I'm still gonna use my astral sorcery, but I'm gonna try and use a different one. Oh, but that's a 9. So I believe I have to suffer a drawback. But what I wanted to do was, so I open my mouth and these astral, it looks like astral octopus tentacles leave my mouth and
The
begin to, yeah, and begin to choke the life out of one of these creatures,
Yeah. Okay.
which causes 3 harm, ignores armor, ranged.
Yeah. So you strangle the head off of one of them, and then the drawback. Do you choose that or do I? Do you know?
You choose it based on the narrative.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So the thing is, like, I take action whenever stuff goes wrong, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cool.
Pretty much.
You've already taken 1 harm. I don't know if I want to do that again. So I will say you also target a creature that you didn't want to. So either one of the handlers or M or Lady M.
I mean, M is right there.
Yeah. It ignores armor.
It ignores armor entirely?
Yeah, it ignores
That's
armor.
an oof.
Yeah. So M, you get choked out a little bit by by an astral otherworldly tentacle, incurring 3 harm.
M's into it.
Nice. Yeah, nice M.
I'm sorry. Ugh.
So I
Don't
take
apologize
3
for your
harm?
power, dear.
Is that I took 3?
Yes. Yeah. Sorry. What'd you say, Matt?
I was speaking to Moss and I said, "Don't apologize for your power, dear."
I think in this case I should. Sorry, M.
1 sec. I hold it back. I do not transform into a beast.
Oh, you were hybrid form this whole time.
Mm.
Cool. So you just rolled.
I'm
control.
not hybrid. I'm human.
Oh
The
yeah,
beast
yeah.
is the beast without.
Right, because you can have your
Yep.
claws out normally. Okay,
I can still manifest them.
awesome. So yeah,
Which
I
is
think you're
overpowered as hell.
It's I don't know. It's all right. I think it's kind of cool, and it's an advanced move. So like, why wouldn't it
Yeah.
be great? You know. Yeah. So we're down to 2 if my count is right.
Nope, 1.
1. Okay.
Let's make
Yeah.
that none.
This lone. So they've been asleep this entire time. This lone imp awakes to find all of its comrades slaughtered, shorn to pieces, and
A werewolf
reasonably-
running at it.
Exactly, yes. And I think at this moment we'll also see a movement in the back of the cart. Just a shaking and moving that is heavy enough, rowdy enough that the cart itself is moved back and forth, and then a similar creature crawls out of the back of the cart, and it resembles the imps, but it is larger by many factors, probably like 5 or 6. Um, it sees the slaughter, it sees you all, and it approaches. But it's your turn again.
Can I use the roll I did there?
The control one, or
No, that's the recent one. So that was a 2d6 plus 3 for my battle.
oh sure, yeah, you going after
So
the
that's a-
last imp?
That yeah, I'll go after the big one.
Okay. Oh, the big one. Okay.
So that is 3 actions, which is deal harm to the opponent, and I can spend additional choices for additional harms each. So that'll be 4 plus 2, so 6 harm.
Okay. And this is mechanically this is a gargoyle, but I'm reskinning it. Yeah. So you do 6 harm to this gargoyle.
Yes.
Which is
And it counts as silver.
quite a lot. Yeah. Okay. Moss, Lady Anne.
This thing, M has gone off and attacked this thing, so I am presuming that this thing is hostile and we shouldn't be trying to communicate with it. Is that fair? It came out of this thing. It looks hostile. Can I assume that?
It for sure looks hostile.
If it wasn't before M got it, it is now.
Exactly, yeah. You can't tell one way or another whether it can be reasoned with. None of them have tried to speak. All of their expressions have been kind of bestial, kind of just like shouts and gurgles and roars and stuff.
Awesome. Well, then I will also attack it. I'm going to throw an icy shard at this
Cool.
foe.
That's a combat sorcery, right?
Yeah, combat infernal sorcery.
So that's 5 harm and it's ranged.
And I'm going to spend one of my sacrificial hold.
What is the group tag?
So that is 12. So that's a success on that. On 12.
Spell goes off, no problem.
No problem. So 5 harm, ranged.
Okay. So this thing didn't get a chance to act, but just for the sake of flavor, I'm going to say that it was after being clawed by M, it is rearing up and preparing, from what you can see, to release some sort of breath attack. It's building up a fire, a blue kind of bluish yellowish iridescent fire in its mouth, and it's about to let it loose. But you plug it, you aerate it with some ice shards, and it falls over dead. And then the lone imp looks as horrified as you've ever seen one. That's so Moss. I think you haven't acted yet, yeah.
Well, good job, team. None of us have tried to talk to them, so maybe. Hey, you, little thing. What's going on?
It responds in what sounds like a language, but you don't understand it, and it also sounds, I don't want to say primitive, I don't think that's the right word, but it is like, it incorporates growls and sounds of that sort, and not just syllables.
Okay, I don't understand. So does it just look scared? Does it look like it's gonna attack anyone?
Yeah, if you had to guess, it would look like it would sound like it's both bargaining and cursing you out.
Well, I guess, can I still do something, or is that my turn?
No, go ahead.
Okay. Well, you know what? Actually, I don't really want to. I don't think I'm gonna do anything. I'm gonna let the others decide. Should we keep it? Should we kill it?
M was very happy to kill it if that's what is requested.
I'm always happy to have a living subject for my sacrifices. Kill it now, kill it later. If it makes no difference to you, we could bind it and kill it later. Might be useful.
So
Okay.
as you're all having this conversation, it's actually the imp's turn. How much damage have you all taken? 1 for Moz, 3 for M.
None for me.
Okay, so it will shank Lady M.
Nice.
Go
for it.
So it has a little spear. It's a very, very like basic design, very simple.
Mhm.
and it stabs you with it. And it's gonna do +1 harm with its attack effect, and then that totals 3. So you'll take 3 harm unless you have armor of some sort.
I definitely do not have armor, and I did not take the ability that would prevent it. So I take 3 harm, and I think just as a reaction to that, I spend another hold and provide an extra +1 forward to M with my sorcerer's magic. I just rip a blood rune off my arm and throw it into the air and say, "M, kill it, please. I take it back."
Let's just kill
Emma
it.
obliges.
Awesome.
So the
So you get a
forward gives
+1
me
on this. Yeah,
perfect, because that's what I did, and I rolled max.
Nice.
So that's gonna be another lot of damage. This is eviscerated.
Yeah, it's reduced to
6
mist.
plus 6 plus 4.
Good God.
So,
Yeah, it's 7 times what you would need to destroy one. It's reduced to a fine pale mist, and as far as you can tell, they're all dead, and there doesn't seem to be any more approaching. But you still hear the sounds of chaos from inside the walls of the kingdom.
I think M will look at the group. What's the general consensus? Because she might, book it.
I mean, I think Lady Anne would just. Shall we patch up quickly before moving on?
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
take a second.
So you can each do one, I think, at this
Yeah.
point until we
We
get
can
to
heal
another
one harm, or
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can remove 1 harm for basically no time, and then if you want to reduce more harm, it takes mechanical time. Greta and Garrett, if that's right.
Yeah.
Where are they?
They so okay. I did not expect that to be that easy. So I was gonna have them help you. But given how easy it was, I thought it would be best that they didn't. I'll say that they were off handling some another group of imps that had been harassing some market stall or something. But they reconnect with you. They hear your call and they approach. Yes. We don't know what's going on, but we think it best that we should get to the institute to touch base and make sure everything is okay. Are you all okay? Are you all fine?
Oh yes, quite fine. We're all fine here. Yes. How are you?
Greta and Garrett are both spotless. This was Greta speaking to you just now. How much harm do you all have left?
I got eight left that I can take.
But you have 2 harm, right?
Yeah, 2 harm.
Okay. M, sorry, I meant you have 2 harm.
yes, I have 2.
Okay. You both will go down to 1. Greta and Garrett will both patch you up.
Wonderful.
Yeah. And then Garrett. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I have an advanced move that whenever I take the patch up move, Whispers of the Sleeper.
Ooh.
So I can choose one of the following benefits, and I'm gonna go with taking +1 forward to my next investigation move.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, that'll come in handy. Yeah. So Garrett also chimes in, saying essentially the same thing. We need to reconnect with the rest of the faculty and the headmaster. Are you all comfortable coming with us? Do you need to find anyone in the city?
I don't have
think
anyone left
Alcide's
here.
here, so
I didn't catch what you said, Ash.
Sorry.
I don't think Alcide's in the town, so I don't think M has
No.
any direction right now. So nope. Let's go.
Just out of curiosity, was the chase into the river the last time you saw Alcide?
Yes.
Okay.
He kicked her ass.
Yeah, evidently. So yeah, you all will head towards the institute. This has been your home for, well, I don't know how long for each of you. I think Ash, you had said you had been with this group for a year.
Month or 2. No,
Oh,
I've
okay.
been hunting Alcide for a year.
Okay.
I've only been around for a month or 2 at this point.
So this place is relatively new to you, and it might be it might still be grand enough that it would impress you, in your time there whenever you see it.
Definitely.
Yeah. How long have each of you been here, Moss and Lady Anne?
I'm pretty sure I'd be a newcomer to probably 3 weeks, so a month.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I've probably been in the town for a long time. I think I'm a local, but I've only probably been a member of the institute for 6 months on the long side.
Okay.
It wouldn't surprise me if this was just the first group that I met, basically, doing other stuff first.
Yeah. So you're not all very familiar with the institute, but you're familiar enough to recognize the building. It's almost Castellan, but it's also got features of it that resemble like a school, like an academy. Um, it is large. I think I said that. It towers maybe 2 or 3 stories. Uh, Large portions of it are glass, which is harder to come by in this age. Um, but as you approach it, you see that it has been run through, as if a boulder that is about a third of its size has run through the middle of it. Um, it sits on the outside of town, on the outside of that large stone wall, outside of the kingdom, I should say, um, and through the collapsed center of the institute, you see an enormous creature, one that towers far higher than the institute itself, even though it's a ways off in the center of the kingdom, toward the center of the kingdom. It is like the imps and like the gargoyle. It is both, or it is all at once simian, avian, and reptilian, um, and it is rampaging through the town. It is uh, releasing bouts of the same fire that the gargoyle was preparing to use, but albeit at a much larger scale. So it is setting large portions um, of the kingdom ablaze with that iridescent blue and yellow fire. Um, and Greta and Garrett kind of just look on in horror through the middle of the ruined institute. Uh, yeah. Do you all follow? After they've collected themselves, they make their way inside, and you all are free to follow if you wish.
Fascinating. I wonder what summoned a creature like this, and to what purpose. And I follow.
Yep, following.
So inside the institute itself, it's clearly it's in ruins, but you have a hard time telling what remains of the institute itself as far as the faculty and not student body because they're not students, but the rest of the people that inhabit this place goes. People are strewn about, injured, some deceased, um, and you all approach what used to be the main staircase and is now the loose kind of structure with stairs missing, and portions of it just completely inaccessible. It probably accesses 2 sides of this grand hallway kind of place, but now only accesses one. And at the foot of the staircase, you find the leader of this institute, the headmaster, if you will, clutching clutching their abdomen, um, and showing signs of having been burned by that strange fire. Um, they are femme. You would know with your time here that they use she her pronouns. Um, they are of a pretty dark skin tone, with black hair with tight curls, um, and they don't seem to be. They seem to be grievously injured, but they don't seem to be on like death's door or anything. Um, and Greta and Garrett both approach and try to tend to her wounds.
I will join, but I will not help tend to the wounds. I will instead say, my dear, if you're up to it, can you give us any information? What happened here? What caused this? Anything? Yeah, and I want to attempt to interview this person.
Okay, yeah, that's a roll, right?
Yep. 14. Wow.
14,
We are getting very lucky, people.
Don't say that. Knock on wood.
So you have 3 questions.
Knock on wood.
I'm knocking. Look at me knock. Yeah, so actually, if we can do this out, like, I just want to talk with her a little bit and then ask my questions because they're sort of they're like meta questions about like what is she lying to me and things like that.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Talk first, if that's okay. So,
what was it that you asked?
anything you can tell us, dear, about what happened here? who this was, what caused any of this, and
Yeah.
anything of that sort, if you don't mind.
Through ragged breaths, she says, yeah, yes, we don't know what's going on exactly, but we suspect that that a siege has finally happened. What we feared, what we had been preparing against, has finally come to pass. Vlad has made his move. Upon hearing that name, you all, well, maybe not all of you, but Anne for sure, you know that the main force, the person that is suspected to be the source of all kind of like messed up things going on in the kingdom, is making their move in a big way. This person is none other than the big Drac himself, Vlad, the Impaler Tepes. And she tells you essentially that they think he's moving, he's mobilizing and trying to secure the town for these forces that he's summoned, that he's conjured up.
Any ideas as to his goal, or is it just random chaos that he's after?
From the looks of it, it would be random chaos. He hasn't tried to take control of anything in the conventional sense. He's just had these monsters. She glances over at the giant creature, the Godzilla Uzuru kind of thing. He's just set them all to destroy everything.
Okay. Yeah, and I'll pivot here and ask my interview questions if that's okay.
Mm-hmm. You also still have some hold left, right, for lore?
For lore, yeah, and I'm gonna pull that as well shortly.
Yeah, feel free.
Are there any witness accounts that I can get that I am currently unaware of that might give me more information?
Mm-hmm. She tells you some of the rest of the teams have to still be surviving, but I think a majority of them have been slain. Maybe in town. I think some of them may have been bold enough to try to make it into Vlad's castle, but I haven't heard word from them since. In terms of everyone here, I think I might be the only one left.
The only survivor? That sounds quite stressful. Are there any inconsistencies in this sole survivor story?
No, from what you can tell, so it says people that you aren't aware of, and just so it's clear, there's people that are surviving that have been, or there's people that are wounded in here that you do know of that are just like kind of right in front of you. Then there's Greta and Garrett, but of the people that you don't know of, none of them are here. Yeah, and then the ones that you, in town, she is telling you that there may be some that you would not know of that you could potentially access. Yeah.
And I guess my last interview question will be, what is this person hiding from you, if anything?
What is the headmaster hiding from you? I think, I don't know that this is like super consequential, but I think they are trying to hide how grievous their injury is. At first glance, it might have appeared that they would easily survive this because they're able to talk and they're able to move in a limited capacity. But they, you gather that they might be doing worse off than they would seem at first glance.
Okay. And for my lore questions, I guess I'll ask about Vlad.
Yeah.
What is this creature capable of and weak to?
Okay. Capability-wise, you know, mostly from story, I think, from lore, that he's capable of metamorphosis. He's capable of disappearing into areas of bright light. You know that the limits of his metamorphosis span most simple creatures. So he could turn into birds, wolves, snakes, frogs, what have you. What else? Oh, you know, he can draw life from other people by consuming their essence. Sometimes blood, sometimes whatever else a creature's essence is.
I know nothing about that.
And you know you know his weakness is darkness, just the absence of light. Yeah.
Interesting. And then I'll follow it with it seems to me like Vlad clearly got like a power upgrade in order to pull this off. If he's been trying to do this for a while and now suddenly he's doing it,
Mhm.
And the most likely thing that Lady Anne thinks of is, oh, he has access to some sort of magic that he didn't before. So I guess I'll ask, what kind of magic was used here to summon these creatures?
Yeah, okay. So it's gonna give you the same vibe as when you identified the imps. It's
Perfect.
conjuration, clearly.
Yep.
And I think in this world, I had the thought. I thought it would be cool. That conjuration is almost strictly a infernal domain of magic. The what would be called holy is more into order and keeping things in the plane that they belong on, whereas infernal magic is all about breaking the boundaries of those planes and bringing things back and forth between them. Um, it is of that same variety of conjuration magic, and like you had seen before, it is of the same family as infernal magic, but older and of a different branch.
Got it.
Hmm.
Well, that ends all of my hold. Thank you for bearing with me, everyone. I had a lot of questions and I got a lot of answers, and I appreciate it.
Yeah.
That was my little interview. Thank you, Headmaster. Greta, look to his wounds. I think he is. I think she is more wounded than one might at first perceive.
We will. And yeah, Greta and Garrett both continue to patch up the headmaster here. Um, I think you all know her as headmaster. That's not super important, but yeah.
Mm.
Before you know her by name, you know her as headmaster. The headmaster continues. Um, you all, you all appear to be the last intact group in the institute, and we don't have a specific plan for this chain of events. But if I had to
Really?
guess,
You don't have a plan for the end of the world?
we should have. You would think we did, huh?
Well, I would, considering your proposed profession.
No, as it would stand, we had just been sustaining. We thought we had started to turn the tide and maybe work towards ending all the rogue events that had been occurring, but evidently we've failed. Um, like I said, you all appear to be the last group, and I think our only hope is to end Vlad himself. And I think you all are the only ones that are capable, if you are willing. She looks at each of you expectantly. Questioningly, I think
Yeah.
is a better word.
So I look first at Moss.
Just shrug. Well, I didn't have anything else planned today.
And then I presume that I know M, and I say, well, I guess it's time for a hunt.
Excellent. Greta, Garrett, take them to the teleporter. And they both nod. They have patched her up as well as they could. To them, I think they get the impression that the headmaster will survive this. Lady Anne, I think you might know better that there is a more than healthy chance that she will not. But they lead you through the remains of the school, through what once was a beautiful, expansive library. Probably what makes up most of the bulk of this institute. Um, some of you may have. Actually, yeah. I'll ask you, each of you. Have you guys spent any meaningful time in here? Like, how much do you all spend in the library?
Probably walked in there once,
Yeah.
looked around, and walked out.
Yeah.
Moss has spent a lot of time at the library, probably trying to see if there's any information on this sleeper that is in contact with her.
Lady Anne spends so much time in the library that she has her own spot there, and when someone sits there, she curses them.
Yeah. Oh, literally curses. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So Moss and Lady Anne, this space that you were familiar with and had spent some time in, like I said, it's beautiful and like in the sense that it contains so much knowledge. It is now in ruins, partially in ruins. Lady Anne, your spot is gone. It's not even there anymore. The table is cracked in half, and the legs are strewn about. the magical lamps that had illuminated each of the tables that were present are most of them are smashed, um, with a few remaining that are intact and still lit. So this space that was usually pretty well illuminated is now in almost absolute darkness, save for those few lamps that remain. Greta and Garrett lead you through this ruined space into a portion of the library that, Lady Anne, I'll say that maybe you've been back here. It is like the restricted section, if you will. But even they lead you even further back through a hidden passageway down a set of stairs that descend quite a ways into the earth, and then into a room.
I think actually, if you don't mind, I'm gonna
please, yeah.
do something horrifying before we get there.
Please do, yeah.
Sorry, everyone. So as we get into the library, I'm gonna say, "Oh, I know where we're headed. I'll follow you along. I need to run and grab something quickly."
Sure. Greta and Garrett don't object. Well, Greta will say, "Don't take too long. We need you."
Minutes at most.
Okay. Then they nod and proceed.
Mhm.
They kind of show you how to get into the secret entrance, so you can do it yourself when you come back. M or Moss, do you object or
I'm
try
just
to
gonna
follow?
eject. They kind of lag behind everybody and duck off.
Mhm.
Follow Anne down.
Excellent.
Nice.
So that will. I'm gonna say, looking at the rules for that, that would be a hunt because that actually is a stealth. Is hunt.
Oh, sure.
I was looking
Yeah.
So I will
Hunt away.
use hunt. I believe that's gonna be a +2. So there we go. Where was it? There it was. So on a 7 and 9, we both spot each other. That's a 10. So I get to jump on or ahead of your target. I'm just gonna follow Anne down without being spotted and see what she's doing.
Oh, you don't want Anne to
Excellent.
spot you either. Okay, awesome.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm gonna make my way back to the headmaster.
Okay. Moss, are you doing anything, or are you following Greta and Garrett?
How badly damaged are the books?
So a portion of them are fine. But there's like a whole wing probably that's just like reduced to ashes.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
gonna while
They're
they're
not
doing
reduced to
that-
me.
All
right. Also, bye, Len. Thanks for stopping in.
Thanks for hanging out, Len.
But while they're doing that, I'm gonna try and save some books if I can.
Yeah. So I assume you're looking for like astral entity stuff, and
Yeah.
that was already in short supply. Like you are kind of a rarity. And there are other people like you, and you might convene with them. But yeah, the knowledge that's compiled here, as expansive as it is, only covers a really limited portion of that knowledge. So it's fair to say a lot of it was burned away. I wonder if there's a role for this. I don't think lore would cover it. Poke around,
What-
maybe.
What are you
Poke
trying to
around.
have do?
You're trying to
Searching?
find like some.
Yeah, poke around. Sorry, I'm actually at that section, just going up and down right now.
Yeah,
Yep,
So,
I know. I'm jumping around from my playbooks to
so-
the moves to the playbooks to the moves.
Yeah.
to see
there's
how
a
to-
picture
thankfully,
of
this
them
PDF
open.
is something that is blessed is that this is tabbed, so
Yep.
you can use
Oh.
bookmarks, which is mwah, mwah.
Just the best.
So
Nice.
PDFs that aren't searchable are the worst invention ever. Sorry. keep going.
let's
Yeah.
poke around.
No, they kind of are.
Poke around, and I still have a +1, I believe. Oh my
Yep.
gosh.
Nope.
7.
That's a fail to
Oh,
get
man.
any useful information. Oh, if it's
Poke
7, you
around,
can
you
ask.
get to one ask question. Ask one question. Yeah.
Well, I wonder how this would be.
Yeah, because a lot of this is
related
about
to-
creatures.
Yeah.
I think we can sort of interpret it,
Yeah.
right, as like we can replace person or creature with eldritch being.
Right. Okay. So.
If that's okay with you, Marcus. Sorry.
Totally. Yeah. No. I like that. I love that.
Man, what do I want to ask?
I think we could stretch it a little bit too and include like a book that you've maybe seen before and recognize. Because there's
Searching
stuff
for
here
a
that's like,
specific one.
yeah. Like where did a person or creature go? We can just say where did that book go?
Yeah, I think.
Do certain people, books, or persons?
Yeah. Okay. So I guess I'm looking for the book. So. Would the question be where did this book go? I knew that there was a very good book.
Yeah. Okay. So there's one specific book that is probably the one that is that's closest to having any like tangible knowledge about these forces that influence you. Um, you don't see it there, and in the space that it usually is, there's in a conspicuous absence of ash of the remains of a book. Um, so I think you have the sense to check the logs of what books were checked out that are miraculously still intact, and you find that it has been checked out. Um, and I think you don't recognize the name under the listing, but it is gone and it is in someone's possession.
What's the name? I'll write it down.
Of the book? Oh, I didn't think
Or
of one.
of the person who has it checked out.
Yeah, I want to think of a name that's not horrible. Harlock. Harlock Graves. Yeah.
Hmm. So I don't know Harlock Graves.
No.
Which we
Yeah,
really-
I don't think you do.
I'll find you, Harlock. Just write him down in my little black book.
Don't
Cool.
put him in the Death Note book. Then you won't find him.
My Death Note. No.
Yeah, no, you just need to know his face and you can mark him. So we'll cut over to Anne, who is unwitting of their tale of M following them.
We'll see
Bailey.
how Em feels about this. I don't know how Matthew feels about this, so we'll see how Matthew feels about this too. So I go back to the headmaster,
Yeah, you make it
And
to
I
the
look at her.
headmaster.
and I say, "You're dying."
At this point, she had been close to passing out, but she comes to and she sees you. What does that matter at this point? What are you doing? You're supposed to be helping Garrett and Greta in ending this.
Would you like to help them in ending this?
She pauses. Of course I would. Why would you even ask that?
And I, very non-threateningly, or as non-threateningly as this is possible, I say, I draw my power from sacrificing the living. You could be a part of the solution, part of the destroying of
I see.
Vlad. And I pull out my ritual dagger.
Yes.
M
So
ducks down
you're hiding.
in surprise.
Yeah, that hunt roll, I'm gonna say it lasts for like this scene. I'm not gonna make you roll again, just because
Yeah.
I'd like you to stay hidden. Recognition flashes across her face. You know that it's not. It's not even an open secret that you draw your power from demonic sources and that you sacrifice things from time to time. But it's kind of regulated because you're not the only
Yeah.
person like you in this institute. Obviously, you don't sacrifice anyone that is a part of the institute or that
Never
is
have.
friendly. Yeah.
Not to their knowledge.
Um,
Sorry, never have. Sorry.
no, that's fair to say. I think not to their
Yeah.
knowledge because people might go missing. Yeah. So recognition is clear on her face. She also knows that she's dying. She says, "If you think you can do it, and if you think I would actually help, I am willing. But you have to make a promise.
Yes?
I'm going to be gone, and you may not be the most tenured member of this institute, but you are the most senior and the most experienced by my estimations. You can take my life and you can use my power, but you have to take my place."
You ask for quite a lot.
Prior to my stint here, we didn't allow people of your sort here, warlocks and those stellar dreamers and the likes of them, the shapeshifters. We used to just be all hunters, but I'm the reason that we accepted people like you, because I don't think you're all bad.
Well, I really appreciate that. I was bad for a long time, you should know. But I have come around.
So
But
was
that
I.
doesn't mean that my power doesn't come from there.
Granted. Do you accept?
And I pause briefly and say yes.
Very well. She takes a deep breath and she exposes her neck to you.
And I slit her neck and draw her blood and make the sacrifice roll. Which, because this is a human subject, is a +4 roll, and because of my sacrifice move, is a +5. Hopefully I get a whole fuck ton of hold from this, because otherwise... 12, I'll take it.
So what is that? Hold-wise?
Hold-wise, oh yeah, that's good. Good, yes. I think it's 3 hold.
Can
Let me
I
double check?
give out hold and forward and all that stuff freely?
Mechanically, no, but you
Okay.
are also God.
You are the master of ceremonies. So it could be your ceremony where you say "fuck off," you're getting more hold.
The thing is,
I don't
yeah,
think that's unreasonable in a situation like this. Yeah, this would
exactly.
be-
Yeah.
yeah, I would get 3 hold typically for this roll.
This is the headmaster of an institute of like immense power. She herself is a person of immense power. I don't feel right just making it. I almost wanted to just make it an automatic 13. But I'll just say I'm gonna give you 3 forward.
3 hold.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, 3
Awesome.
forward. So for that roll, so you have 15 now.
Okay.
I'm giving you 6 hold. I want
Great.
you to have 6 hold. Yeah.
Nice. Works for me.
What happens to her remains? We saw what happens with the imp when you sacrificed it. The blood absorbed into your flesh and made sigils.
So I think that this is a more significant sacrifice, obviously, for me. So her blood I siphon into coating my body, refreshing the runes that were already there. I think the runes, you can see the runes on her arms, but you can't see the runes that are on the rest of her body, the blood runes that are on the rest of her body, but they all refreshen underneath the long gown that she's wearing. I then, I think I gently carry the headmaster up and place her sort of in a location and, close her eyes and wrap her arms around her. And then I just, I think I sweep away some of the debris around so that there is a, to see if there's a, so it's like a clean spot at least.
Yeah.
And I think, I think I'd actually like to mechanically, like, if this is okay with you, I'd like to move back and say that this was actually someone who was meaningful to me. The headmaster did take me in, and I was immensely grateful. And like many people were against it, but like she was willing to take me on, and so I think that like as I'm doing this, I am proud.
Okay. So when you sacrificed her, before with the imp, you had felt somewhere in your soul, in your heart, you felt the chorus of demonic voices, of demonic entities celebrating. You felt their revelry. Now you feel something more akin to reverence. They I think recognize that this person was unlike anyone else in that they didn't reduce the demonic forces to being homogenous and treated you in a similar fashion. So yeah, we will pull away from the headmaster, now past in as dignified a position as Lady Anne could manage, and we'll move over to M from the shadows, having witnessed the sacrifice by Lady Anne.
Oh, was this in like a church hall or?
I think it was in the grand staircase. We said.
Yeah.
Okay, so was there? So I'm kind of hiding out like a slightly higher angle behind a banister or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, so after seeing the knife go into the throat and actually hearing that, because I think M will watch for a minute as the blood goes into Anne, and then will be mildly horrified given the events, and will slowly walk away.
Do you want to have heard the conversation, or do you want to have just seen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I do, and I think because depending on the distance, because in my mind I was imagining like in a basement, just behind a crate, like 20 feet away, maybe. Like, there's no way Am didn't hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's fair.
Totally agree. 100%.
Especially given the keen senses, that give me additional benefits for that exact same thing. So I think M definitely heard the conversation, was and that's why M didn't immediately jump and attack. Is because M heard it, so she was like, "Okay, I'm gonna keep quiet about this, but if it comes up, I will back her."
Tremendous. And you make your way back.
Yes, stealthily makes the way back up the stairs, which is what that second check was for.
Okay.
Which was the same result.
Anne, as far as you could tell, you've been alone this whole time, but now you are
Truly
markedly
alone.
Truly alone. The headmaster has passed. Your tail has gone away, and I think you sense that on some level. Not that someone was watching you, but that you are very much alone, standing over the remains of the headmaster.
Yeah, there's been a huge responsibility placed upon me. I think I undo my scarf and itch my neck, and if it's all right with you, the camera looks in at my neck for the first time because I've been wearing a scarf the whole time, and there's a very clear demonic brand there, seared into my neck in flame, and it itches, and the blood symbols that cover my arms and body go up my neck, but they avoid the brand, and then I replace my scarf.
Interesting. Also, for the sake of like not continuity, I don't know what, but I'll say that the headmaster has given you her seal, her signet ring, to signify that you've taken her place.
Okay.
Yeah. So I assume you make your way back at this point?
Yeah, and I make my way back and towards the teleportation room.
Cool. Ash, M, do you make it all the way down to the teleportation room before Anne actually even gets to the doorway, or do you intercept each other at any point on the way there?
I think M is going out of her way to not have to see Anne as a result of this, is trying to go find everybody else and like have them of, oh, sorry, I had to go pee.
Okay.
As a werewolf or some shit like that. So no, I'm just like, all right, that's crude, and they just ignore it.
Okay.
Because M uses her crudeness to her advantage.
Marking your territory, dear.
Nowhere near you, Anne.
Yeah. So, Moss, you are with Garrett and Greta, I assume at this point, in this teleportation room. You see a raised platform, a circular platform that has a number of sigils on it, but the dominating one is a 5-pointed star within a circle. It is ornate. On each point of that star, there is a pedestal, a stone pedestal, of the same material as the platform itself. And atop each of those pedestals is of those 5 pedestals is a bowl. So you see that. In the rest of this room is part laboratory and part library, and this is the you walk through the restricted section to get here. This is like the hyper restricted section. This is a part of the library that even you and probably Lady Anne haven't seen. There are books in the shelves here. There are jars and containers of different substances, some organic, some inorganic. And in the room, attached to the platform itself by some mechanism, is a chair that has just a number of contraptions attached to it that you don't recognize. And as you're taking in this room, you are joined by M at first, and then moments later, Lady Anne. And you all find yourselves in this room.
This is a big room.
Yeah, it's it has the construction of like a tower, but it begins underground, so parts of it are not exposed to the surface at all. But it has a glass dome at the top. It's like the first room in the Haunted Mansion. If any of you have seen that, it's like a big, like a towering room with round sides, with a big dome window at the top.
All right. Em's just kind of gonna follow the crowd. She's very kind of intimidated with all the majesty of things in here.
Okay. I think we're definitely far enough for a break. Are we cool with taking one right now?
Sure.
Cool. Okay. So we will be back in 10. See y'all then.
Hey world, welcome back. Hope you're enjoying Beneath a Cursed Moon. Again, this is a game created by Carius. You can check out some of their stuff on itch.io. You can see there's a link in the chat for them. They are badass. I am a fan. I'm already digging this game a lot. So welcome to Beneath a Cursed Moon. So far we've had demonic invasion and ritual sacrifices and creepy dreams and
a werewolf that kills shit very well.
Yeah, and lots of death. So we're feeling pretty death happy. It's fun. Yeah, as always, please do your best to support the creators that we're pushing here. We like checking them out. We like checking out their games, and it's really great if you go out and even if you can't purchase their thing because you don't have the financial resources to purchase every game that we play. I understand. Believe me. I don't have the financial resources to purchase every game we play either. But you can leave a review for them on itch.io or on somewhere that they can use a review. Or just tell them that you watched the stream and enjoyed their game, right? People work hard on these games, and it's fun for us to be able to check them out and play them. And it's cool if we can spread some of that love around. Next week, we are going to be starting our new arc. We're going to be playing a game called Quest RPG, which is sort of a new very beginner-friendly fantasy RPG system. So come check out that game and check out us doing it. It's going to be our first multi-episode arc, so I'm pretty excited about that. And we're going to start by building characters on stream, so you can come in knowing nothing and enjoy the whole shebang, as it were. And with that, I will return the mic to Marcus.
Yeah, I'll also add, Beneath the Cursed Moon is pay what you want, so yeah, you can grab it for free, but also throw them a few bucks, because I think it's really good.
Definitely.
I like the setting, and like,
it's
yeah,
definitely well formatted and very thought out.
Yeah.
And a lot of the art in this is great. I should shout out some of the artists.
Yeah, it is.
I've been staring at it while we're playing and thinking, wow, this art is cool. Artists, let's see, artist credits right here, right at the top, because always credit your artists. Flavia DeVita made the cover art for this game. Also, playbook art by Dreamweaver Druid, who is awesome. I love that stuff. And then the formatter and formatting is done by Goaty Goats, which is a cool name. And again, the book is well formatted, so clearly they're good at their job. So yeah, it's really easy to read. It's easy to pick up. It's Powered by the Apocalypse game. If you don't know what that means, well, message me afterwards, and I'll talk to you about Powered by the Apocalypse games, because I think that they're really cool and interesting and have a lot of cool things to offer you. Also, one of our ally channels, one of the channels that we friend with and work with occasionally, Polished Cryptid, is launching a new Powered by the Apocalypse show where every 4 weeks they're going to change Powered by the Apocalypse systems and try a new system out, and just play them all for 4 weeks, I think, or 6 weeks. I've forgotten exactly what you said. I was paying attention, definitely. But yeah, so go check that out too if you're interested in things.
I would like to point to a specific piece of art, and that is the vampire looks like David Diggs. Not gonna lie.
David Diggs.
From Hamilton.
Is he Thomas Jefferson?
Yeah, Thomas Jefferson and Lafayette. Looks like
yeah.
David Diggs as Lafayette, but without the bun, more the outward sticking.
Like yeah, you're totally right.
Yep. Like, that's Digley.
There you go.
Awful person, fantastically awful character. His singing is impeccable.
Thomas Jefferson or David Diggs?
David Diggs, his singing is excellent.
No, I'm saying as the awful
Thomas
person.
Jefferson's singing was.
Oh, Jefferson, was the awful person.
Yeah. Famously an asshole, to say the least.
To say the least.
I mean, I think that all people were awful at some point. So.
Yeah.
Also, the werewolf was dope.
Also,
the art.
Alexander Hamilton was a horrible person as well.
He was only a good person by the standard of like 20-something slave owners and stuff. Yeah.
No, he's not even a good person by that standard as well. Just
yeah,
I
actually,
know that, we like to imagine that he is, but it is definitely revisionist history. Nothing wrong with that. I love a good escapist revisionist history thing as well. But
truth is not that.
Alexander Hamilton was actually opposed to slavery. He was really not.
Oh, was he not an abolitionist?
Nope. He was an
John Lawrence
rights supremacist. He very much was against the idea of voting.
Oh my god.
Voting if we were going to vote, it should only be like literally the richest of the rich.
Yeah. Landed white. Yeah. Yeah.
No, not Landed White. He thought that Landed White was way too low a
Broad.
bar for entry.
Oh my
Um,
god.
He wanted a plutocracy of elites with granting hereditary titles to vote on who the new president is, and the president was definitely a lifelong position, of course.
See, I thought that musical was sanitized. I didn't know it was like straight up revisionist. That's
Oh no, it's
It's
Straight up.
totally revisionist.
how fun.
yeah. In many ways, I mean, I don't know.
Anyway, back
Yeah,
to the
Anyway.
horror
moralizing
of
about the founding of the
Bakeballs.
country is almost always going to lead to demagoguery and stupidity. So, let's talk about werewolves instead.
Yeah. So a werewolf by the name of M has found themselves shortly before Lady Anne has arrived in this room, in a big tall room with a bunch of books and jars and boxes lining the walls, with a pentagram platform in the center, like I had described, with
This is a
pedestals.
6 point.
5, because six point is the Star of
Yes.
David. Yeah,
Yes, my brain is dumb.
you're good. No, your brain's
Penta.
great. Yeah, so there's a pedestal at each point, a bowl atop each of the pedestals, and a chair attached to the platform by some means, by cables, tubes, that sort of thing. That also has different contraptions attached to it. And Garrett and Greta are making their way around the room, presumably trying to figure out how this teleporter works.
Greta, anything here useful that we should be bringing with us?
Bringing with us, I don't know. Some of this is useful for getting the damn thing started, but I think I've only been in here once, and she looks over at Garrett. He says, I've never been in here, but I've heard of it through hearsay. But the headmaster was the only one who knew intimately how to start it. We have an instruction book here. It
At
is
the mention
unclear.
of the headmaster, M kind of looks at her feet and kicks a little pebble.
Yeah, so they have a book in their hands that appears to be an instruction manual, but is not explicit.
Moss, could you take a look at that? It seems like your deal.
Sure, why not? And I'll take a look.
Yeah, okay, so you open up this booklet, and on the first page is this diagram. It's in Roll20. I don't know if y'all can see it.
I will shortly. I just have 37 minutes left. Cool. Roll20. I am in Roll20.
Anything there?
No, you've got to.
You might have it on the GM layers.
Anything there?
There you go.
Hey. Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, so you all see that diagram. As Greta says, Moss, did you want to do like a lore or any roll or anything into this diagram or the rest of the book?
Yeah, I'd love to. Knowledge lore roll.
Yeah, please do.
10.
Yeah, so that's three hold.
2 questions for lore, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, let's see.
Yes, the symbol of Bruce Atman.
It was so hard to find a symbol of just a bat and not a Batman thing. It's so funny.
Oh gosh. Okay, so let me see. What ties these things together?
Yeah, okay. So obviously they're paired, and they each relate to each other in some way. I'm not sure how much. Okay. So the top one is clearly a wolf. And I think you know enough to know that the first symbol on the left at the top there is the alchemical symbol for Earth. So evidently, it is describing the lupines, M's classification, as having a tie to the Earth. And similarly, each one of these will have some sort of relation to each other in that way, like an elemental tie.
Okay. And well, I'd really like to know if what each symbol, well, what each of them stand for. I don't know what question that'd be on the list, but
Yeah, let me look at them. What is the history of this person, place, or creature? We can just say what's
Yeah.
the history of these symbols.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah. So I will just tell you. In order from top to bottom, the symbols are earth, air, fire, water, and ether.
Earth,
Um,
air, fire, water, ether.
What about heart?
yeah, no heart, no
No
love.
Captain
It's not Fifth Element.
That would be a great RPG. Sorry.
Captain Planet or Fifth
Captain
Element?
Planet? I'm pretty sure there already is one. Like
Okay.
Oh,
a
is
Captain
there?
Planet, like I'm pretty sure.
Okay,
Nice.
we gotta find that and see if we can play that. I haven't thought about Captain Planet since I was a kid, so yeah, we might have to find it. Sorry, back to the.
No, you're good. So yeah, those are elemental symbols. I want to say that the that question doesn't extend to the symbols on the right. Does that feel fair? I don't want to cheat you out of knowledge here.
I mean, I'm okay with that.
Okay. So yeah, it's unclear what the remaining four symbols are. The left side is elements. The top right one is the werewolves, something relating to werewolves. Yeah, and the rest are maybe a bit unclear or tremendously obvious.
Okay. I'll show the other two and the handlers this diagram and describe that the ones on the left are the elements and the ones on the right, we know that the top one is werewolf.
Both Greta.
Um,
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Marcus first.
Oh, sure. Both Greta and Garrett immediately point to the one beneath the werewolf, the one next to the air symbol. They recognize it as being the symbol of the Fae.
M, being in her infinite wisdom, will go over to some dirt, grab it, and go throw it at the top of the circle,
At the top of the
like the top of the pentagram.
at the point at the top
Yes.
on the ground.
Yes.
Okay. Nothing happens that you can see.
She spits on it.
Nothing happens that you can see.
I tried.
So that's the symbol for Fae. The symbol for werewolf. This seems to be a bat of some sort.
Vampire?
Vampire makes most sense to me instinctively. Obviously, the pentagram. I would presume some degree of warlock, perhaps. And the brain for. I'm sorry. Do you prefer sleeper, dreamer?
Dreamer is the term I've heard. I guess it may be me. Okay. Well. So werewolf, air fae, fire warlock, water vampire, ether dreamer.
It's possible. I'm not saying I know anything. Can I poke around a bit the room?
Please do.
Great. I will poke around the room, see what happens.
Can I give an assist on that?
Yeah. How does the assist work? I didn't see that on.
I have no idea. I'm just asking if that's something I can do.
Roll flat, or no, roll the poke around, and then I guess we can like decide the bonus based on.
Okay, so roll my own poke around then.
Yeah, you both will, I guess. Yeah.
That'll be an 11, so that is
a moderate
2 questions.
success.
That is 2 questions.
Yeah, I'll just.
I got a moderate success. I got a mixed success, and M got a full success.
Okay. So I mean, M is assisting you, but if you guys want, you can switch it up.
Sounds good.
So the bonus from Lady Anne's poking around will be a 1 since it was a mixed success. What did you roll, M?
11, so that'd give me to a 12, which makes it so it's 2 questions.
Okay, so it's still 2 questions. Yeah, so you have 2 questions.
I'm gonna let Matthew ask M's questions.
Sure.
That's fine.
I have no idea what to ask.
So looking at the let's see. Looking at the teleporter, is anything missing from this location to help make this work?
Yes. You gather that there are components that need to be in each bowl, and there are no components.
Oh, there's
in each
bowls.
bowl.
That's where M would have thrown the dirt and spit in.
Okay, yeah. So when you throw the dirt, nothing happens. When you spit, also nothing happens in the bowl.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm sorry. You're a werewolf.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It did
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So when you put the dirt in the bowl, nothing happens. When you spit in the bowl, it ignites. It looks like it's caught fire, but it doesn't burn out. It doesn't turn to ash. It starts increasing in luminosity until it reaches like phosphorescence, and then it starts emitting like a vapor, a pale red vapor. And yeah, that floats up toward the top of the room.
Okay, we'll say M does that after the questions. After
Sounds good.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's perfect.
threw it to the floor right next to it, then realized, oh fuck, I'm dumb.
There's a bowl right there.
There's a bowl there. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I think with that, I'll try to figure out which of the five, if any of the five spots, if any of the five bowls correspond to specific creatures, or if it's just like if I go to a bowl and make it happen, that'll be the warlock bowl.
Yeah. So it's more not categorical. What's the word for categorical? But for like taxonomic, it's creatures, it's species types. So it's werewolves, fae. You would know well enough to know that
demons.
if you exactly.
Yeah, it's demons. It's not me.
There's still demon blood on M's hand and under her claws.
Beautiful, excellent. So I'm gonna. I think I just reach into my purse and I pull out a nail file, and I just like, M, darling, could you come over here?
Okay. Walks over.
Can I see your hand?
Her claws are currently not out, so it's just like regular fingernails.
Yeah. So I just take my nail file and start scraping out blood into the bowl for the warlock.
Okay, there is blood in the bowl.
Okay.
From the imps.
From the imps, yeah. Imp blood. Demonic blood. So that's earth with the werewolf, demonic blood, earth, water, changeling. Okay, so this is earth, air, water. Yeah, I look around for some water.
It's easy enough to find. Like I said, the walls are lined with different substances, including books. And
Great.
there would be one with some musty water that may have had something in it at some point, but doesn't now.
Cool. I pour some water to go with the imp blood.
Okay, nothing happens.
Was it water or was it fire?
I taste it. Is it water?
The mixture of blood and water.
No, I taste the water.
Oh, the water.
Water is water.
It's disgusting. It's musty and it is water.
No, it's water.
No, I mean, is the symbol associated with demons? Is that the one for water or is it for fire?
Oh, I'm sorry, my dear. I've forgotten. My lore knowledge is not as extensive as yours.
Moss, you would know that it is not water. It is fire.
Damn it.
Right,
My memory is so shite.
What I mean by that is it is fire.
Ah, sorry. And I pick up the bowl and I dump it out and I put it back and then I say, one more time, M, if you don't mind. Perhaps the other hand. And I scrape off some more blood, and I don't know. Does anyone have a match?
Yeah. Here you go.
Fantasy match.
Flick it and toss that in.
M grabs a gun from the side, and just fire.
Fucking Glock.
Yeah, just a Glock with incendiary rounds. Just fires it in.
God, that's good.
Not quite
So
sure it exists.
So when you throw in the match, it ignites as if something was catching on fire normally. But it behaves in the same way as the other bowl did, in that it doesn't burn out; it burns brighter, and then that same vapor rises out of that bowl.
I'll ask Greta. Hey, could you? There, that's the bowl for Faye. Do you think maybe you could put like a piece of hair in that bowl and blow into it, see if anything happens?
As Moss is asking that, M will just pull out a claw and stab into the hand and put it in.
Into Greta's hand? Greta will jump. You could have just asked.
Well, I
did.
was asking.
She said hair, not blood, but go ahead and use it, I guess, now that you have it.
Just already flicked it in the bowl.
Okay, it's in the
Hi,
bowl.
DM Mark.
Hey, but...
Hey, Mark.
Yeah. So the hair is in the bowl, or the
Blood.
bits of flesh and blood, and yeah, whatever you got along on your claws in the bowl now.
So I believe this goes along with air. Hey, why don't you just blow into the bowl a bit?
The big
Okay,
bad wolf will blow into the bowl of blood.
choice. Yeah. So it's like you're kindling a flame. It ignites as if it had an ember within it, and it in the same fashion it glows and
Alright.
emits the vapor.
Are M's eyebrows intact?
Yeah, I'll say they are. They're fine.
They grow
Em-
fast enough; it won't
exactly.
make a difference.
Yeah.
Evan's just so hairy. Werewolf
Just-
Em.
So her.
No, the only hair she gets from her werewolfiness are the eyebrows. I have decided just now because that's canon and fun.
Oh
I love
my
it.
God.
I love it.
So
Oh,
she'll
yeah, so
randomly have her
that's-
claw out and just.
That's fire. No, earth, air, and fire down.
I will go over to the one that I think may be Dreamer, and I'll just kind of dig my thumbnail into the palm of my hand and drop a few drops of blood in there.
Okay. The drops of blood sit at the bottom of the bowl.
It's a,
Hmm.
it's a lot of effort to stab yourself with a regular human thumbnail.
It's not a regular human thumbnail.
Fair enough.
It's an
Very
eldritch
sharp.
human thumbnail.
Mhm.
I love it.
Ether. Ether. I have an ability, or I have astral spells in which I shroud myself in a dreamlike haze. What if I do that centered on the bowl?
Okay, yeah. So you're enveloped by this haze, and I imagine you direct some of that haze into the bowl. It floats down like a fog, like a heavy fog, and fills the bowl and pours out of it, and nothing happens. Um, ju- just because I feel like this might be a huge mislead, I'll say you know that that you're a rarity here, like Anne kind of is. There aren't a ton of people like you here, and certainly none of the leadership is like you. So when they made this, they would likely not have access to that.
So probably not for me.
M will start looking at bowls and look for something that looks shiny, like that doesn't look natural. So something ethereal.
Okay. I'll say for certain that you don't find anything that's ethereal, but
I mean,
why
like,
don't yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
Oh, why don't you roll poke around or hunt? And this is kind of like this is going to be more on the passive side.
This would be a poke around. That'll be a 10. That gets me 2 questions.
Is poke around the one where you can ask what's missing?
I believe so.
Oh,
Is there anything missing from this location? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you I'm going to spin this a little bit. You don't know exactly what's missing, but as you're looking around, you catch a whiff of something really, really strong that you.
I was actually gonna have that be my follow-up. If there is something missing, would I be able to sniff it out?
Yeah, you specifically would because your senses are so much more heightened due to your lycanthropy.
Werewolf.
Yeah. Everybody else would not notice this, but there is a really, really strong scent coming from a cabinet that is embedded in the wall, in one of these walls.
I will open it slowly
Mhm.
and out to the side, just in case it's trapped.
The smell is strong enough that it overwhelms you. You can tell that it is coming from a bottle that is facing label in toward the wall. You don't see what it is.
So I can't grab it myself.
You could if you'd
Effectively.
like. Yeah. Once it's open though, everybody kind of smells like a faint. hint of
Mas-
it. But to you, it's overwhelming.
Oh, whiffy. Oh, whiffy.
No, you guys are barely smelling it.
Yeah.
If you open it,
It's there. Yeah.
Must grab the label it.
Looks fine to me.
Grab it. It stinks.
You grab it.
M grabs her nose viciously, like white knuckle.
Yeah.
Covering.
Are you grabbing the bottle, Moss?
I am grabbing the bottle, yep.
Okay. You hold it. As you take it out of the cabinet there, You turn it over and it reads ether, not AE ether, but like
Ah.
medicinal ether.
Mm,
I think it's like a anesthetic or something. I forget what exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. But you
Well,
find the chemical compound ether. Yeah.
this is the thing we need to pour in afterwards, but what does whose blood goes in there?
Which one was this?
It goes with
For-
the brain.
Probably yours, unless you already did something else.
Um, I don't think it would be my blood because I don't think they'd make a ritual centered around someone as rare as me.
We'll search around for something then. Is there a symbol that matches the symbol here and or could mean the same thing? Another way of writing the word in some foreign language or some other? That cabinet looks promising. The cabinet that was opened by M. I'm gonna go head on over and start searching through that cabinet.
Yeah. So this one you can tell was designated for fluids of the same kind of not specifically ether, but
Right.
fluids of a very strong potency that are concentrated, and that tend to be like diluted and stuff,
Mm.
that aren't used in huge volumes.
Yeah, I'm gonna look around for I don't know something that makes me think of either the brain or the vampire.
Okay.
In some way, shape, or form.
You want to do a poke around?
Sure. Yeah, I can poke around some more. I'm always happy to poke around. Poke.
Is there a
I
more
get first.
appropriate move? Would lore work better there? Maybe not.
For lore is
Uh,
for knowing stuff and
Sure.
knowing where to find it. So
If there's any organizational pattern to this room, then I could use lore.
Oh yeah, there is actually. Yeah.
Oh, great. Well, then I will use lore to attempt to understand this pattern, and I'll keep the same roll and take a 11.
you get 2.
2 questions.
Cool.
Let's see. Blah, 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 blah. Let's see. Exactly what type of creature was intended by these symbols?
For all of them.
Yes, might as well.
Yeah. So werewolf, obviously, fey, descending from top to bottom, fey, demonic, infernal, vampiric, and then the last one, you gather that it's not specifically a species.
Human.
It's a substance. Yeah.
It's a substance.
Mm-hmm.
And I will follow up with what substance is called for?
What substance is called
Yeah,
for?
what substance is called for?
Yeah.
For magic of this sort.
So given that the ether one was essentially a pun, this substance is kind of a wild card. You could either use a bit of knowledge, however you interpret that, or you could use literal brain matter of any kind of creature.
Sure. Yeah.
Only we had a dead person.
Write a fun fact on a piece of paper, throw it in.
If only we had a dead person lying around here. Yeah, are there dead other teams that are dead from the academy?
Yeah, some would be not in this room, but you saw a bunch that were dispatched in front of the academy, in front of the institute, and in that grand staircase, in the
You
same
guys
room
look
as the grand
for
staircase.
the vampire. I'm gonna go grab something horrific. Please don't follow. It's gross enough.
Don't have to tell me twice.
M kind of gives Anne a look without letting Anne see the look. Kind of a type of look, and then I will start sniffing around for a vampire.
Yeah. So I'll say but just by association, you've also gathered along with Anne that there is an organizational structure to this room. It is organized by substance and then alphabetically from bottom to top. So A is at the bottom, V is higher up.
Unfortunately, that means nothing to M. She can't read.
Okay, I was gonna ask.
I think if I would have deduced this, then as I leave, I would say, M, you might want to climb up a little bit. Go look at.
M hasn't given any hints to it.
Yeah, sure, but
Like,
I
yeah.
don't think I'd be aware of that. But I think I'm still, what's the word?
Pedantic.
Pedantic. Yeah, thank you. That's the right word. I'm still pedantic enough to like tell you. If you could search up there, there might be something on the top shelves that would be useful.
Is there a ladder?
You can climb.
I start looking around for a ladder.
Oh, there is. There's one of those like rotating, not rotating, sliding like
Move, yeah.
library ladders. Yeah.
Perfect. And we'll grab it and move it over to whatever shelf and pwn it at.
Yeah. So you find a jar, a small jar, not very large, like a marmalade jar, size jar of vampire fangs.
Oh, that's weird looking garlic.
Wait,
Starts crawling down.
if there's stuff there, is there brain matter already there? And wait, you might not have to do that gross thing.
I'm already gone.
Em will take the jar of fangs and like tuck it into her shirt, and then we'll try to like keep pulling around and looking for brain matter on that same shelf all the way around.
Okay. Yeah, you don't see any on the same shelf. I think that might be a poke around. I feel like some of these don't work entirely for like, because a lot of these center on creatures.
Yeah, we'll definitely discuss some of the things we see later on. Obviously,
Yeah,
we do
sure.
reviews on this show.
Right. Yeah. Go ahead and do a poke around if you'd like, because you're not seeing anything obvious.
Me?
Mhm.
Okay, I was so confused for a second. +2, another 10, so that's another 2.
Yeah. So you get 2 questions.
Where is the brain matter?
I could do that, but that's
Here
too.
is brain matter.
Is there anything that I guess M would know what brain matter looks like? So
Yeah.
Does M notice anything that looks similar to what she has seen in the past?
As far as brain matter goes,
Yes.
I'm gonna say no, because you have seen it after rending creatures' skulls from their bodies, and seeing the spilled gray matter that resulted. You don't see anything along those lines.
Okay, is
I don't
there?
think.
What was the person after? I don't even know how to spin this next question. I will give that question to Moss.
Oh boy.
Okay.
I can even do that. I'm realizing what a clue is. I mean, yeah, M isn't really like in the mind space to be able to effectively like
Yeah,
sniff it
that's
out. Actually, no. Could M sniff it out?
Oh, actually, yeah, you. Yeah, you could.
Instead, yeah. So that I have that benefit. So, have I smelled the scent of brain matter before? Is my first question instead of the one I did before.
Yeah, yeah. You have in this room. You're not smelling it now, but you do smell formaldehyde, and you smell it not far from where you are. Yeah.
I'll head over there.
Okay. You slide the ladder over, and there is a jar with a rather old brain sitting in it that is filled to the brim with formaldehyde.
I'll yell out Fran, "Hey, found a brain."
He's gone.
Oh, intact.
Mostly.
Oh well, then I guess I don't need this rock. And I think you see me like
Oh, God.
looking over this person holding a rock and just put it down and come back to the room.
Toss a rock and it still lands on someone's head anyway and pops it.
No.
Oh yeah, so you have your brain, a brain.
Okay.
I think now that I've got a brain and a jar of fangs in my hands, I think I actually need a roll to get down this ladder.
Actually, yeah, that makes sense to me.
So that'll be a daring action then?
I believe so.
Okay, I'm fine.
Cool. Yeah, so
M is very lucky and very good at
slide
things,
down
apparently.
deftly.
Always
the-
good to be deft.
the
I return to the room, not carrying a rock.
And you notice M, no hands on the ladder, just kind of like, okay.
Careful.
Okay.
Okay. Careful.
What? No.
Oh no.
I'm good. Don't worry. I'm used to it. A lot of grip
these
strength.
things are worth a lot of money. We should be careful.
I think M has gone to hybrid form just on the feet to get that grip strength.
Oh, sure. Yeah, you make it down safely in hybrid form with a jar of formaldehyde with a brain in it and a jar of vampire things.
Okay, and the brains go here, and the fangs go here. Water with the fangs, ether with the brains.
And we complete the ritual.
M does it.
Marcus.
Oh, I was muted. Thank you. Yeah. So just like the other bowls started emitting the vapor and igniting and emitting the vapor, the last two do as well. Um, as they all as they burn in concert, each of the pillars lights up too. They start showing veins of red energy by the looks of it, that trace down into the platform. And as far as you can tell, the platform is ready for you. Yeah.
Looking at the time,
Yeah.
I think we might have to have a section 2.
I think that sounds like a great idea. Is that good by everyone else?
Sure.
Marcus, are you up for that?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
I'm very up for this.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm loving this.
So we'll play again next week.
Yeah.
And
I'll close off just with Greta and Garrett looking through the rest of the book and saying it by the looks of it, one of us needs to steer this transportation, so to speak. One of us needs to sit in this chair. One of us that has been to Vlad's castle before, and they look at each other, Garrett and Greta. Presumably, they both have been there, and we'll stop right there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So obviously this is where we swap over to our review and or discussion of the system, and sort of how we think the system is working, what sort of things we think. And I always want to make sure that we are thinking about the system in a way that is understanding of what the system's goals are, and understanding that sometimes when there are problems with the game, sometimes it's a problem with the game, and sometimes it's a problem with the way that we're thinking about the game.
Mm-hmm.
I think that sometimes we have historically on this channel had an attitude of we know what to do, and that's probably been true broadly. But I also want to make sure that like we sometimes also recognize that like particularly with a game that we're going to play again, let's dive into like what we think that we could do better collectively as a group.
For
yeah,
me
and
personally,
yeah, let's start with Ash.
just kind of understanding when, like, what things actually mean, because like the system does specify questions a lot.
Yeah.
But the way we're currently playing, I think, is detrimental. Those questions are detrimental to their current playstyle
Yeah.
a lot of the time, because it's like they're very specifically about tracking monsters, whereas we're currently trying to do puzzle stuff. So that could be partially, a fault of Marcus and the Master of Ceremonies, and also like partially fault of our own. I think the system is more intended for, like Matthew was saying earlier during the break, more like a Buffy the Vampire style, where we are almost always on the hunt for something rather than trying to get somewhere and having to hunt down the items to get there.
It does have like a Monster of the Week thing going on.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but I feel like that could be amended by you can do a poke around roll, but you don't have to ask the questions. I mean, Marcus can just kind of describe what happens based on how successful your roll is, and you don't have to ask the questions.
Absolutely.
I think that's definitely something we should do. This is the first time I've played Powered by the Apocalypse, period, as far as I'm aware. So I'm still trying to like get used to certain aspects of it. I'm not sure how much of this is actually similar to that.
Yeah. Well, being the resident Apocalypse World and Powered by the Apocalypse player, I'm guessing that I've played more of that than most of the people here. Maybe Marcus.
First time playing, first time running.
Okay. Well, obviously, Beneath the Cursed Moon is the first time Beneath the Cursed Moon. This is the first time I'm playing this system, but I've played a lot of Apocalypse World and a lot of other Powered by the Apocalypse games. And one thing I'm noticing is interesting here is that this game, from its stuff, has really gotten rid of most of the GM section of the book. I know that sounds weird.
The moves, you
they
mean?
have a GM. They have a GM section of the book, and
Seems
I'm
very
going
low
into it. But Powered by the Apocalypse, but Apocalypse World itself is very, very famous for being hyper strict and hyper limited on what the game master actually is allowed to do. It's very much movement by the players, reaction based on their movement. You literally have a list, like just like the players have moves, the GM has moves as well that they're like explicitly told to do, and it becomes a very tense give and take in some ways, and I think that can help push the story a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think that it also the questions in Apocalypse World, it's the same system of having questions below these things, but there's a little bit more wiggle room in them, and they're a little bit more. It's not that they're open ended because they're still very strict in some ways, but they sort of are designed to push the drama. So they're not. Is this person hiding something from me? It's what is this person hiding from me? In a way that and the way that and what that means is that if the person asks the question, then they are hiding something from you. The GM doesn't have a choice in that. If they ask the question, then the player themselves is creating the more intense drama and things like that.
Mm.
So I wonder if perhaps the GM side of the rule book in this could be expanded to a certain extent, giving some more things. But Marcus, do you have any thoughts on that? I haven't read the full GM side of the rule book. I've
Yeah.
glanced through it and paged through it a fair bit, but I haven't done a full reading of it.
It's all running. You mean the running the game section?
Yeah, the running game section.
Yeah, so it's pretty much that. It describes the procedures for combat and investigation and pretty much everything else you can do. But from my limited knowledge of Apocalypse World, it doesn't have the same like you said, the same GM moves as Apocalypse World has. I think that could be useful. Like that could be a good addition. Yeah, there seems to be a lot of stuff not missing because I don't think it needs everything from Apocalypse World, but there's stuff that isn't there that
Yeah.
like there's no stats. There's only the moves. That's the one big
Sorry, say again.
There's no stats. Like Apocalypse World has cool and weird and all those values that you then add to moves. Where multiple moves apply to multiple stats. Where this reduced it down to just moves. Yeah, which I kind of like. I like that part.
This is a very lightweight system, and I do appreciate it a lot. I remember something it said earlier. It's like inherently, by the way the system is designed, it's the villains will achieve their goals unless the players specifically stop them in an action of combat.
Yeah,
is what it was saying with it's like the werewolf taking someone hostage.
Yes.
Like unless the players put themselves in danger or ramp up the tension, they'll succeed. I'm not sure how completely it is great, but at the same time, it feels a little cheap. It doesn't feel like it's a lot of that will be earned sometimes. Oh, it's a spider.
In what sense? Can you elaborate?
It feels like sometimes players' actions, even if they, if we don't fully succeed, we won't necessarily get any progress if we don't completely succeed. Is how I felt it was described.
Oh yeah, that's interesting. I haven't thought about it like that.
Yeah, it's like if you don't completely succeed, you fail, and that's like completely off the realm of the degrees of success that's going on throughout the rest of the system.
It also, I forget what section, but it also mentions having a theory of failing forward. So if you do get that mixed success, you don't it's not like you lose a leg or something. It's more that you achieve whatever you want, but then it's at a cost. And then I think even the failures outright are supposed to be like that too. Where
and they specify that for like out of combat, but in combat that does not seem the philosophy whatsoever. With what I was reading,
with like the kidnapping thing or the
like that specific circumstance that may just be a poorly written circumstance on their part, rather than like this is actually how it goes. But that doesn't feel good to me as a player. It feels like we're being punished for not rolling in that like top 15% every time.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, I mean, most systems do that to some extent. But I feel like the descriptions of this system kind of do it a bit more.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just sort of looking, Marcus. Did you look at the planning an adventure timeline section?
No, actually. I skipped a lot of I went to investigation, combat, planning combat, running combat, and elements of horror. And then the structure of this adventure, I guess itself, was kind of focused on I just tried to make it a really simple structure of combat investigation, and that's pretty much it.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense.
Mhm.
Totally down.
Yeah.
I do wonder if, yeah, I do wonder if the investigation should be structured differently, or if they should have more guidelines on the way in which to plan an investigation so that the moves will feel like they fit better,
So
right?
that
Like
they're
I'm
geared
always
more
down
toward
to
people.
hack the moves, right? As we're
Yeah.
talking about doing, we can just roll in the but then we're just playing Dungeons and Dragons, right?
Yeah.
And like,
Mhm.
if we can find a way to, if the game is designed in such a way that like the moves create the responses, I think that's an interesting thing. Nia, do you have more thoughts? Sound like you have to say something, and I cut you off, and I apologize deeply.
No, I've run Monster of the Week before, and I know with that they have a pretty clear template for adventures that I don't remember exactly what it was, but I don't know if this one has something like that, but yeah.
Yeah, it's always tricky because there's an element of like you want both sides, sort of. You want to have like clear guidelines as to make sure that everything works, but then you always want to have like the free form to be able to do other things, right? You want, like, not every system has to be completely universal, but they should work for the sorts of events that are likely to come up in game. Like this was interesting because we saw sort of the system itself not work in something that like seemed like it should work, right? Like being
Mhm.
in a lab and trying to figure out how shit
Yeah.
works. Like, if I feel like the system should support that in some ways, and the fact that it didn't was really interesting.
Yeah. And honestly, I feel like rather than restructuring the adventure, I mean, I feel like you should just be able to do what's natural and maybe not force yourself to ask those specific questions.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Definitely. Reading through this a bit, it definitely is more of a gothic horror. It's less horror, it's more gothic sort of vibes to it, and that's what is explicitly stated a couple times. I think
Mhm.
part of our issue is the adventure that was planned. There's nothing wrong with it, probably, but it does feel like that there's a much smaller system. It's meant to be like, hey, you're a squad. There's a monster over there. Go get him. And like that.
Mhm.
That's definitely like it doesn't seem as much focused towards larger villains, kind of like D&D is, where you can have your Strahds, your Temple of Horrors, all that shit. This definitely doesn't feel like it's that. There can definitely be recurring people, but it's never like I have a large overarching plot. It's like I'm going
Yeah,
to
but I don't know.
do
I don't know,
this.
Ash. I mean, I kind of feel like I kind of feel like what Marcus has handed us here is sort of like a
Yeah.
like almost a finale to a season, right?
That's what I'm feeling
Mhm.
as
You know.
well, and that's I think
And I
part
think
of that is
yeah,
we didn't have the build up to it as
that's
much.
possible. That's certainly possible. But I don't know. Sometimes that's fun too. Sometimes it's fun.
Yeah,
to
no, it
stuff like
definitely
it
is.
is
I'm
now.
definitely enjoying this, but at the same time, it feels like
Mm.
to fully appreciate the system,
Mm.
we should have probably done a bit more of that build up side.
It's possible. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, I think also the with regard to investigation specifically, I mean we've already said this, but it seems to be more geared toward people, toward creatures, and then also I think it's not meant to be restricted to one area like I've done with this teleporter puzzle, and then the next puzzle is pretty much not the same, but it's also restricted in an area.
Mm.
I think it's more supposed to be like shoes on the ground, like you're going around different places in town.
Yeah.
Just looking at the
That's definitely-
timeline, even
a lot of the
Yeah.
moves are worded that way. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I could have played to the system better. I also think it's like totally fine to just interpret the rules and the questions
Yeah.
as you will, I guess. But I also kind of would like to see what it looks like when you play it more like it is one of those like it is Monster of the Week.
Mhm.
Because that also sounds really fun.
Yeah, it is.
Definitely, I definitely like the system. I like what it's trying to achieve. I just
Same
feel
here.
like there's a bit of a disconnect. Like it's not fully frontwards with what it wants.
Mm.
Like it's hiding. It's holding its cards closer to its chest than it should be. Is kind of how I'd be feeling about it in a
Yeah,
way. If that makes sense.
I think I definitely agree with that. But it's a lot of fun, and not to finagle my too much power since I own the channel, all that stuff. But hey, Marcus, you know how you're
Yeah.
running this game,
Sure, yeah.
and
I
that gives you total authority over the game, and there will never be any consequences for anything that you decide in this moment as an answer to this question.
Mm.
But seeing as we're exploring the system and we're going to play again next week, can we level up?
Yeah, actually, I would love that. So normally with Powered by the Apocalypse, you mark experience when you fail, right?
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Okay, and then it's after a certain amount of experience that you get one advancement. Is that right?
Yeah, you get one advancement every time you get. I don't know. Depends on the system. Different. I think
Okay.
typical is 5, but this game doesn't have that rule actually. I was just looking.
I didn't notice that either.
Which is interesting.
I think it was I was looking elsewhere. I didn't get a chance to look into it too deeply, but it looked like it was on like a milestone, like the way D&D does milestone.
Yep, it's
Mhm.
You just decide when
Yeah.
you want us to have an advancement, and we take an advancement, which is why I figured.
Short answer, yeah. Take 2. Like 2 would be cool, right? I think.
Yeah, sure.
Ooh. I can.
Oh
maybe-
boy, M's gonna be dangerous.
Well, we're all going to be dangerous, but we're
I'll have
fighting
to
Vlad the
step it up, I
Impaler,
guess.
so we might
That's
as well.
fair.
Cool, awesome.
Yeah.
Well, guys, that was a lot of fun. Marcus, thank you so much for running. I'm really
sure.
excited
Definitely,
about this.
thank you.
I think this game is great. Guys, again, we have been playing Beneath a Cursed Moon. You can find it on Itch.io. It is designed by Carius. Can someone again put that in the chat? I like putting that in the chat all the time. And we were planning on starting our next thing next week, but screw it. We're gonna finish this thing next week instead, which I think is awesome and exciting, and I'm totally down for it. So we're gonna
Absolutely.
play a little bit more Beneath the Cursed Moon. So if you enjoyed meeting I'm gonna call her Violent M the werewolf.
Violent is certainly a way to describe her,
Mhm.
but if you described her that way in front of you, she'd punch you.
Yes, I know. I'm aware. That's why I was being very cautious. But if you are enjoying the Violent M and the effusively vague and confounding Moss and the sacrifice happy Lady Anne, then come check us out next week, and we'll play some more. And we'll do another sort of post session discussion, see how we feel the second session went and how things changed and
Mhm.
what we feel is better and worse and what we think we did better and worse and all that good stuff, and what more insights we have into the game. Thank you all so much for watching. We really appreciate when you come and check us out, particularly DM the Mark Knight. Always good to see you. We got to chat earlier today. That was a lot of fun, and thank you so much for the raid. Always appreciated. We'll raid you back one of these days, but our time zones are just so bad, as you know, in terms of when you guys finish is usually when we're starting. So we'll do our best, though. We'll try to find time. Anyway, thank you so much all for coming, and we hope you enjoyed the show. Come check us out again next week, and we'll finish this stuff. We've got other shows on this channel. Please follow if you want. We've got shows every Monday, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday. Monday, Thursday, and Sunday are all set in the same world, and our Friday game is this game, where we check out different RPG systems and see what we can learn from them. So please take care of yourself, and as always, don't forget to call your cat and feed your mom. Bye, everyone.